Can't remember. Hold on one sec.
Yeah. Can't remember, yeah. I remember last time I had to move it.
Are you behind the market center back here?
Yeah.
You're fine. If you're in the alley, you're fine, as long as you're pulled in.
That's a hard one.
Okay.
This folds and there's. And then 2 and 550.
Yeah, hold on one second.
And the other one was.
Lee, can you sound check me, please?
As opposed to a direct lender.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And I can hear you. Okay,
25 something for you guys.
And then I'm gonna, we'll edit this later. Let me go get my laptop.
I did hear you. I'm breaking up though.
I'm like, I'm not gonna turn this guy around.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, it's not good.
I think it's the cleanest for us, for what we need to get them on a contingency back.
That's softer to me, just soft paper, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're on.
Good.
And we're good, I now things are both crazy. Did you get close? Did you get close? Not yet. So, it's, I know you know, no,
Who's gonna be the host to make sure we get a good recording?
are you, we're under contract. On one. We're waiting to hear on the buy side. Sell side.
There's that, so that's what
on the buy side.
Okay,
So everyone's staring at this view.
perfect.
So then what I'm going to do is. Hopefully, that's the strategy. Here. Whoa, alright, cool. So the sound's on up here, so this is where the sound's gonna come from. Yep, so what we're just gonna do is we're just gonna hit record, it's recording from here, it's not recorded from back there essentially, this is where all the sound is.
But it's recording from up there, it's going to record that video.
No, we spotlighted that one, so that,
It will record this since it's not.
that's the visual, this is the sound.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's, okay.
They lived there from 28.
Okay, so then when I do a screen share off of here, what
I'm
happens?
gonna go back and see times.
Oh, hopefully nothing.
Yeah, not it is, North Shore, Long Island.
So
Long
I'll see you where you can share.
Okay, so I'll take your guys.
It's gonna be, and I had no idea, having to, for 2 years, so.
Are you
Good. As you got off the front line, as I was talking to her, 3 nights in the house, 2 nights in the husband's house, Friday's gonna be, he was at the house.
Have your flash drive, you
Okay, no, they're fine.
Oh, there's a panther, is this your disc workshop, is that it?
Yes, I had all this and then I joined again as well, once last time. And then I was sharing, because I needed to share my date, but then something about me people, so I did really Marty.
She's so happy, the other one.
Yeah, that's the hard time.
Just it took me like 10 minutes, I'd say. Yeah. I did it this morning. You got the same power. It was funny, because like some of the questions you just have to like. I'll go get it now. That's it.
Go what?
Yes. Zero.
Well, I should have a clicker, I can't accept that. And her button.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll try it.
Hey, Charles, can I borrow your clicker?
We may not full screen.
Alright.
I think I am full screen, right?
No.
We have a little thing to the side.
That's probably okay.
That's the Zoom, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
It's nice to have.
Can you guys all see the slides?
My car.
Is everybody good with seeing the slides?
Yeah, I see a slide.
Beautiful, okay. All right, where am I?
With this slide,
Yeah. Okay, so, are we ready?
Yes.
Yes.
There's these will work on that and these are ready to go.
Yay! All right. Super duper duper. So I'm super excited to have you guys here. And for those of you that are on Zoom, thanks for joining. We opened this up to the entire market center because I know that this is super, super important. So this is a class on DISC. And I know that we did not get out a link for you guys to take a self-assessment prior. to who's familiar with DISC? Anybody ever heard of it? Other than us farm girls who think you use it in the fields? Okay, so it is I think I would say a behavior tool. It identifies how you naturally work and how you're wired. Okay, ironically, we're not all wired the same. Right? And so this is one of the things that I learned early in my career, and I remember saying, man, I wish I would have known that when my daughter was younger. I wish I would have known this in relationships, let alone in business. And so my goal for all of you today is to walk away understanding who you are and what your natural style of communication and behavior is, and learn some basic tools on how to adapt to somebody else that's different. Okay, at the end, I'm gonna have you guess to see if y'all can figure out what I am, because most of you know me pretty doggone well. So if you want to go take an assessment, and I encourage you all to go do it, it would be to go out to Tony Robbins, and you can just Google Tony Robbins DISC, D-I-S-C assessment. I believe it's still free. Right? And it's going to give you a summary. There's different people who have different styles and different tests, but funny, they all seem to always come up with almost about the same answer. So I'm super excited. I am not certified to teach this class. I know enough to be dangerous, but I decided you needed someone smarter than me. And so I'm super happy to introduce you to my friend, former productivity coach, who's now just real estating.
Yep.
Used to be the productivity coach for Mo Anderson. You guys know who Mo Anderson is? She's known as Velvet Hammer.
People don't know who she is anymore.
I know. Well, that's
It breaks my heart.
But anyway, she's an amazing person in our community, and so for Cindy to come with that background and work for her is, I'm sure it wasn't always a dream come true, but it's a dream come true. So
God, yeah.
with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Cindy. This is an interactive thing, so feel free to ask questions and all of that. And Cindy, this is all yours.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here now that I got through the traffic.
Yeah.
Oh. I live in Parker, so Parker, Arvada. Yeah. Couldn't be further apart, right? Well, I could be coming from the Springs, I guess. But anyway, so I am Cindy Carfrey. I am thrilled to be here today. This is, if there is one thing that I love to do more than travel, it is teach this workshop. It is just my passion. I can't have a conversation with just about anybody longer than 15 minutes without behavior coming up in some way or the other. So just a little bit of background about me. I've been licensed for 26 years. Got my license when I was 12. I'm just wondering how that could be possible. I have always been a coach and a trainer. Like my very first job at 16 was at Burger King. I ended up a trainer. I ended up in the travel industry before I got my real estate license. I was a trainer. Got into real estate, taught pre-licensing for most of my 26 years. We ran a real estate school for a while. So I have a heart for obviously training and teaching, instructing, but also brand new agents, because this industry is it easy, this job? This business that we all decided to, no, nothing easy about it. And so I love to help people. Anything I can help you make your life easier, make your job easier. So because Keller, how long have y'all been licensed? 5 years or less? Raise your hand. Or less. Okay. 10 years or more. Raise your hand. Or 5 more. So mostly what I expect, 5 years or less is my audience here, right? So the thing about Keller Williams that drew me to this company is, well, many things, but part of it is our culture of being learning based, right? So I learned so much about behavior and self-growth, and I was in the Tony Robbins world for many years. I've met Tony, hugged Tony. That's a thrill that y'all should try to do once in your life. The man is big, like you've been hugged. And that is when I really got into understanding behavior. And with Keller Williams, we use the DISC, so it's DISC, and You also probably are familiar with the KPA. We're doing that a lot these days with newer agents. Kind of the same concept. DISC is first of all, you guys, it's the very simplified high level. So we're still human beings. Nothing is like cut and dried. Everything that we talk about, you've got to understand that things like maturity and emotional intelligence and bless you, all kinds of things come into play when we're understanding each other's behavior. What I learned when I started to get into this is life changing, in my opinion. Like Margaret was saying, this will change how you see your spouse, your significant other, your kids, your friends, your family, and definitely clients. So we're going to bring this into how this is in our real estate world. And yet you're gonna see that this can actually change. I mean, I think it can change your life. So I have been wanting to get certified in DISC for quite a few years. And I just never frankly had the time to go and do the certification. And then during COVID, Dr. Abelson, who is the assessment that I am certified through, he did a COVID special, and he was offering the certification online and like half price. And I'm like, sign me up. I was so excited. I couldn't do it on the day that he was doing it for the real estate team or world. And so I had to do it on a day that was not real estate related. And I'll tell you what, it was myself, Dr. Abelson, and 4 other people. The other class had like 100 people in it. So I had known Dr. Abelson before, but it was like a PhD because the class was so small and we got to interact with him at such a high level. And it was super, super exciting. So I'm sorry you guys didn't have a chance to do the assessment yet. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that by the time we're done, you're gonna be like, oh, that sounds like me. Oh, that sounds like me. So take good notes, and when you do the assessment, if you have any questions, can I write on this? These are to write on, right?
Yes, you can.
And we are safe?
With the big stuff.
These are the same ones, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is my number, you guys. And then here's my email. Feel free to call or don't call. Text or email with any questions that you might have, and I'm happy to maybe set up a call and go over your results. If yours is a little not strange, different than maybe what you would expect, and you want to have some clarity around it. I will tell you, when you do the assessment, do it when you're calm, relaxed, sitting at your table. Don't do it when you're stressed, don't rush, and at the same time, don't overthink it. Go with the first thing that comes into your mind, and that will give you an accurate assessment. Who actually has done it? Oh my goodness, yay, a lot of you. Okay, perfect. So the DISC, you'll hear people say it's a personality test, and it's not. Personality and behavior are 2 incredibly different things. So understand this has anything to do with your personality. It also doesn't have anything to do with your values or your intelligence. So it is a behavior assessment. And again, the more you understand it, the more mature you get, the more into self-growth you get, you will be able to, what's the right word? You'll be able to adjust maybe the negative things of a behavioral style and enhance the positive things of your behavioral style. And also, we can all step into all of the different behavioral styles at any given time. Yet, there is a certain style that we are literally wired to. And I'm hoping that at the end of this, you will be, first of all, I think understand behavior brings a lot of grace into our world. Do you guys agree that we need more grace? Literally every day, I feel like this world needs more grace. So I think that this helps you with that. And also helps you understand not just yourself, but other people that you interact with. Okay. So what is the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Anybody know what the platinum rule is? Yes. Do unto others as they would have done to them. So in other words, how I appreciate things and how I interact is not necessarily what somebody else would appreciate. Has anybody ever read the 5 love languages? It's great, right? Kind of the same concept. I think these all go hand in hand. So there's love languages, there's touch, there's acts of service, there's time, there's what am I missing? 2 more. Gifts and words of affirmation. So if my love language is acts of service and my partner's love language is gifts, and I'm always doing stuff for that person, and they're always giving me gifts because that's who they are, we never meet, right? I've got to know what their love language is. They've got to know what mine is so that we can love them in their language. And behavior is a lot like that. It's a lot the same way. So we want to understand other people so we can interact with them the way that they would appreciate. So if you've done your assessment or when you do your assessment, whether it's Abelson or Tony Robbins, you're going to get 2 graphs. You're going to get a natural and you're going to get a adapted. And so I find that most of us in an entrepreneur, self-employed business world, I don't often find that our 2 graphs are different because it's not like we're taking our behavioral style and putting it into a job that doesn't maybe appreciate your behavior. Here's an example. I worked in an accounting department a million years ago in a hotel. Well, that is not my behavioral style. Accounting, anything that is that like cut and dried and logic and all of that. That's just not me. After college, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I went to court reporting school. You guys know court reporting? It's also what they do, closed caption. It is like so detailed and so not me. So I always tried to get drawn into a place that did not match my behavioral style. It wasn't honestly until I got into travel and training and real estate ultimately that I felt like I was finally in a space that was good for my behavioral style and my gifts. I kept trying to fit into this wrong hole. So I think kids, like if you have, I would say as young as 13, 14, 15 and up, have your kid take this. Because I think this should be mandatory for junior high and high school. What is it called now? To understand like career, like is college the right thing? Should you go to a trade school? And understanding behavior will help make those decisions. Here's an example. I went to college, I was going to be a computer programmer. Because that was the cool thing in those days. She's laughing because she knows my behavioral style. That was the cool thing in those days, right? That's where you're gonna make all the money. And you don't get to do that first behavioral style class or computer science class until like your sophomore year. I go to my first class, I'm like, this is terrible. This is horrible. Like I wrote my first program and it wouldn't run because I did an O instead of a 0. That kind of thing, right? So this is why I'm so passionate about it. So when you look at your graph, your natural style is who you are naturally. Your adapted style might be different in that might be who you are when you are being observed or when you're maybe in a job that forces you to behave in a different way than is natural. What's interesting is where I do see this change also is a natural, especially for some reason I see this in men, a natural might be their one behavioral style, but then adapted, or sorry, the other way around. Natural might be one and adapted is different. And what I realized is sometimes when like a man, he's in his job and he's doing his job and then he goes home and he gets to be dad and husband. Does that make sense? So his style might change a little bit that way. So understand, and this is where I invite you, if you have some questions, like if these two graphs are dramatically different, let me know and we can talk through it. Is this one dramatically different? Would you say? Yeah, I would say it is. So when you're looking at your graph, you only look at anything above the 50% line. So if you're above if one of these DISC is above the 50 line, that is a behavioral style for you. Most people, and certainly not all by any stretch of the imagination, have two that are above the line. Many times people have 3 or 4. It's not unusual. It's just there might be some reasons behind that. So in this case, this person has a high I and their D is above the line. Would you agree? You see that? Their S and their C are low. But then on the adapted, what happened? Their D and their C came way up, and their I and their S came way down. And you're going to understand more about what that means in just a bit. We're going to go into that a lot deeper. But that's probably because this person's, their job, the adapted style, forces them to be a certain way that they're not naturally. And we'll talk about what that actually means as far as energy goes. Okay. So the first one that we're going to talk about is the D. And so the D they all have certain characteristics, and it's kind of fun because a lot of them match their D, start with the D. So D's, they're demanding, they're fast-paced, dominant, decisive, direct / blunt. They're determined, they're doers. We're going to talk about each style has an energy around it. Defiant, they're risk takers. They're self-starters, incredibly competitive. And I want you to remember that later. They're strong-willed, they're pioneers, kind of goes from that self-starter, and they're very ambitious. And again, I want you to remember, this is if your D is above that 50 line. The higher it gets above the line towards 60, 70, 80, 90, the stronger that characteristic probably presents in your life. Okay, so again, I didn't say this yet. Zero judgment, right? This is a zero judgment phase. Zero judgment around any of this because these again are natural, how we're wired in literally our being. Okay, now you'll hear different people say different things as far as what percentage of the population that this is. In the general population, this is a high D is about 8% of the population. So not a ton, right? Those of you who have done their test, how many of you are a D? Do you know? Nobody in the room. If we had our whole, like if we were at like a regional event, how many D's do you think would be in the room? A lot more than 8. Because D's, remember that competitive, self-starters, motivated, ambitious. Could you see how a sales entrepreneur, self-employed would be drawn to that kind of business, right? So in general, we have a lot of D's in the real estate world. Probably somebody you're working with as a co-agent or as a co-op agent inside of a deal. Very likely could be a D. So their key question is, what's in it for me? It's all about me. How do I win? What's in it for me? And again, they're independent learner, and this is important to remember. They're big picture. They look at the big picture. Detail, no. Big picture, yes. Every behavioral style has a dominant emotion and a dominant fear. And I think this is, if you're going to take anything out of this workshop, this is it. To know what their dominant emotion is of each behavioral style and what their dominant fear is. Because let's be honest, as humans, we basically behave based on our fear, not on our maybe other things. So the dominant emotion of a high D is actually anger. So just sitting here for a few minutes, how many of you are or know a D? Yeah, almost all of you. So high Ds are the ones that are driving down the road and they flash to that road rage, like constant. And 5 minutes later, are they fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like flash is the word. Flash anger, then done. Is that flash anger intense? Yeah, usually. Huh? Yeah. So that's just it, is they flash to that anger, and it seems like just about anything can make them not just mad, but really mad. And then 5 minutes later, they're fine. But what they don't realize is that flash anger, they're fine, and everybody else around them is still shaking in their boots because holy cow, that was intense, right? So again, the D's, if you are a D, you've got to remember this. And if you're with a D, just do your best to understand that's just their go-to emotion. Good, bad, or otherwise, that's just where they go. And maybe not a grain of salt, but take it with a giant block of salt. Because that's just, and I know it's hard. Now, their dominant fear is being taken advantage of or a loss of control. So when it comes to a high D and they're afraid of losing control, they want to stay in control. So they don't like their time wasted. They want to, we'll talk about time more in a minute, but they're very much, they want to stay in control. So if you want to get a D to that dominant emotion of anger, make them feel like they're out of control or losing control or don't have control. So I want you to start not only thinking about yourself, maybe people that you have around you, also think about your clients, your potential clients, and how you can meet them where they are and adjust your consultation to whatever it is that is their dominant style. I'm gonna help you figure out pretty quickly how you can figure out how what somebody is. So they don't like their time wasted and or being taken advantage of, and anger. All right. Now understand, I made this slide years before our current president was president the first time. And I never changed it because it is a really good conversation to have without going political, but we're not going to do that. Again, dominant, determined, demanding, driving, doers. So let's talk about some challenges of dealing with a high D. And again, I'm talking about a D that is just all D, nothing else softening, for lack of a better word. They're insensitive, they can easily hurt other people's feelings. Lack of concern for others, impatient and blunt. Can we talk about why our current president might be having extreme pushback to his behavioral style? Just keeping it at that conversation, no politics involved. Can you see that? Is that what he is? 100%, right? Now again, with self-control and emotional intelligence and maybe another behavioral style up there with you balancing your D, that can maybe soften it. But if we're just talking at the extreme D, that's what we're talking about. Now, what do they bring to the table? What do they bring to the conversation? They're bottom line organizers. They place a high value on time, meaning they get things done. They move fast. They're problem solvers and they're risk takers. Do we need people who will take a risk in our world? Yeah, for sure. They're self-starters, as we said before, and they're innovative, creative, like problem solvers. We can figure this out. They challenge the status quo. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Good thing.
Right? It is. Is it sometimes a good thing? Sometimes it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Typically, it's a good thing. They're natural leaders. They're direct communication, again, direct/blunt. And they love to win. Love to win. You can know the high D's in the room. If you just have a little contest in a room, the high D's are the ones that make it like they're going for $10,000. Not just maybe a candy bar or $1 scratch ticket or whatever. They're the ones that make everything a contest. So those are our D's. Now, I told you that we're going to talk about time versus every behavioral style. So D's be on time. Otherwise, they feel disrespected. P.S. They can feel disrespected super easy. Things that might make other people like, whatever. D's can and what do? They flash to that anger, and you're just like, really? That made you that bad? No, it's just that's where they flash to. Now, should you be 10 minutes early with a D?
Probably.
No, on time.
On time. If you're 10 minutes early, you're wasting their time. You're being disrespectful. And they're not ready for you, by the way. Because I have a 2 o'clock. At 1:45, I'm still doing my 1:45 stuff. Don't talk to me until it's 2 o'clock. Right? So be on time. Now, if let's say your D is a team leader or a coach or whatever, when you go in and you have something to talk with them about, are you going to give them the whole background story and all of the details?
No.
No, you bullet that thing out. Remember, waste of time. They don't want to hear, you've heard the saying, tell me what time it is, not how to build a watch. That's a high D. Bullet it out. And for some of us, that can be hard. But bullets are your best friend, literally, when you are talking to, I'm talking about bullets on page. Sometimes you want to use the other kind, just kidding. So, audio is cutting in and out. I don't know what to do about that. I'm just the guest. So yeah, be on time. If it's 2 o'clock, be there at 2 o'clock. Might be 2:05 or 2:10 before they open the door and let you in. Yep, because it's all about them and their time. But you just be there with your bullets and you'll be fine. It doesn't always work the same way. Now we're going to talk about what does their world look like as far as, do they have a lot of friends? Do they have a few friends? High D's just have 1 or 2 friends typically, and usually their best friend is their spouse because they just don't have time for anything else. And a lot of times, depending on their level, maybe they don't have the bandwidth or other people don't have the bandwidth to deal with their crazy. So the thing that's funny about that I've noticed about behavioral styles is in relationships, like romantic relationships, spouses, partners, whatever, I've noticed that that you know how they say opposites attract. So usually a high D will have a significant other that is not, that is the opposite. And so I'm going to talk a lot about how that can be a good thing because as a couple, you've got all of them covered. So you can hit everything well. You have between the two, you have all the strengths. But this person interacts this way and this person interacts this way and they're opposite. So it could feel like this. And this is where I say when you really understand behavior and you can talk about it, it can really, 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 really help. I think, I'm not exaggerating. I think this could save marriages, truly. When counseling should be having pre-counseling, everybody should do a disc. I won't go on a date without a disc. I'm not even kidding. Like, I ask for a disc before I will go out with somebody. Just do this all the time. Okay, any questions on the Ds before I move on? Anybody online have a question? No. Okay. Moving on to the I's. All right, the I's are the party girls, party guys. They're the life of the party. They're inspiring, influencing, impressionable, interesting, involved. They can be a little illogical, they go a little squirrel. They're enthusiastic, trusting, can have a short attention span, and can be flashy. Not always, but like the high I's, typically you can spot them a mile away from a lot of things. Okay. The I's love the stories. Love the stories. Let me tell you what happened to me. They're the ones that when there's a conversation, they cannot wait to jump in and talk about them as opposed in the story. Does that make sense? Like their experience in the story. So if you are an I, the trouble with that is maybe you're not even hearing what's being said because you're just waiting for a chance to say what you want to say and jump in. So we're going to talk a lot more about this in a minute, but we can have the high I's can have a problem with listening. They're only about 11% of the population. Those of you who have done a disc, any I's in the room? IS. So again, if you got into like a regional room full of a bunch of real estate brokers, how many I's do you think there would be? More than 11%? Yeah, probably closer to 50. Between the I's and the D's, probably closer to 50%. Because again, would you think that all of those adjectives that we talked about, do you think they make natural salespeople? Do you think it's easy for them to talk to people and get to know people? Would you agree?
Yes.
Probably. So they're drawn again to sales, self-employed, those kind of things, naturally drawn. Their key question is, who else is doing that? So again, it's that story, like what is everybody else doing? They're highly people-oriented, highly. Of all of the DISC, the behavioral styles, these are the most people-oriented. Sometimes to a fault, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. They're interactive and fun. They love group projects. Love to be with other people. They can be good listeners. Again, if they can overcome that need to always be telling their story or their opinion. And again, this is what I was talking about when you have a certain behavioral style, you can learn how to adapt to overcome maybe some things that you don't necessarily love, the challenges about your behavioral style. And they can be one-on-one learners as well, but they would rather learn in a group. They love that energy of a group. Okay, so let's talk about what is their dominant emotion. It is optimism. Now this can be a huge challenge for I's because they have a tendency to be overly optimistic when maybe they shouldn't be so optimistic. If they were less optimistic, they might avoid some trouble. Almost to the point of Pollyanna. Again, remember however above the 50 you are is gonna help you decide how amplified these are. So if you're like at the 80, 90, pushing the line off the top of the chart, you're probably pretty amplified in these. So a lot of these characteristics are gonna be like, oh, that's me. Now their dominant fear is rejection. And this one is huge. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I always have that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about it. We said on the one hand, high I's love sales. because they can talk to people. But if your biggest fear is rejection, what's the problem there?
Take risks. You want to take a risk?
Even their database, right? Like, oh, what if they're mad at me if I'm bugging them? I don't want to. They'd rather go out and make new friends. That's easy. Than face rejection in their database. Am I speaking to anybody there? I'm saying. Yeah. So we've got to remember, we've got to overcome, and this is where coaching comes in. We've got to overcome that word, that fear of rejection. And that's usually scripts, that's usually just changing your mindset. And that's also understanding that that's what's happening and power through it if you want to get your goal. And sometimes that's the answer, right? We just got to power through it. So hashtag FOMO is my life. I don't know if you've guessed by now what one of my dominant. Can you guess? Anyone? A little bit. I don't know, flashy or I don't know. FOMO is like death to me. Like I want to do everything, and if I miss out, like I couldn't go to. Did you go to family reunion? No. I was dying. I didn't get to the family reunion this year. Dying. FOMO, mad FOMO. If somebody goes out and I decided not to go out, and then I see pictures they went out, what do I have? FOMO. I'm like, it is maddening. It is bad. Am I talking? Anybody else have FOMO? No, you, yeah. It's a not fun thing. Again, because they're highly people oriented. So they're influencing, impressive, interactive, inspiring initiators. Now, let's talk about some challenges that a high I is going to have. And again, emotional intelligence, self-growth. If you've got another behavioral style helping to balance things out, can help with this. And also, again, how high above that 50 you might be. So some challenges are, they can be more concerned with popularity than results. So again, going back to that database and that fear of rejection, they might be more interested in just people liking them than actually taking that next step to get results. Here's an example. I don't know if anybody else has ever struggled with this. You're at an open house. Do you have a hard time engaging with people? If you're a high I, probably not. You can talk to Amy, but you don't talk to those walls for 5 minutes if I have to. But then taking the next step and getting their contact information, that could feel like rejection. I might have that fear of being, oh no, I'm not going to give you rejection. Ugh. Oh, who this person is? Why do I care? They don't care. You know what do you see what I'm saying? Like that can be a challenge. They can be inattentive to detail. And we'll talk more about that in a bit when we talk about another behavioral style. They can overuse gesture and facial expressions. You've heard the term a little extra. Right? That's a word, right?
Yeah.
So these guys, if they're amplified, if they're very high eyes, they're the life of the party, but sometimes they're like, oh, you're a little extra, you're a little much. They tend to listen only when convenient. Again, they might be listening just to get what they want to say in. And remember we talked about what was their dominant emotion?
Good rejection.
Dominant emotion, that's what dominant fear. Optimism. So again, it can be unrealistic. And it can be a little bit of a Pollyanna. I'm going to touch on this something I've been thinking about. Would you all agree the last year and a half has been pretty tough? Am I the only one that thinks? Yeah. So the high eyes, because they're so optimistic, when they finally get to where things are beating them down so much where the optimism goes away, it's really bad for them. Like mental stability, bad. Like go see a therapist, because when a high I loses that optimism, that hopefulness, it is not a good place. She's like,
It's depression.
it is depression at a whole other level. And it is not, it is scary. So if you know, if you've got somebody in your mind that you think I might be talking about right now, and it's you, there's nothing wrong with going and getting some help, because eyes can usually work through therapy and get themselves past that fairly quickly. Because it's a mindset, optimism, losing hope, not a chemical like depression like a lot of people struggle with. Does that make sense? It's a very different thing. So I'll just be transparent. I finally, for the first time in my life, I went and talked with a Christian counselor a few months ago, because I just was like losing hope, like it's gonna be better, it's gonna be okay. And it didn't take me long to get that back, and then things got better. But it's just again, understanding behavior and understanding that when a high I loses their optimism, it's not something to be played with. So be sure and get the help that you need or somebody you love needs. All right, what do they bring to the table? Again, they're very creative problem solvers. Is our business all about problem solving?
Yeah.
Isn't every negotiation, every contract, are you gonna move out? Did it get clean? It's inspection. We have to be very creative. I didn't used to think I was a creative person, because I used to think creative was, can I draw? Am I good at art? You know, that kind of stuff. But I realized creativity comes in a lot of different places, and problem solving is probably one of the best for our industry. They can motivate others to achieve. So this is why they're really good team players. Like if you have an eye in your world or in your coaching group or whatever, they can really help motivate. They're also good at motivating clients and maybe even the co-op agents. So remember, and again, I'm gonna do a whole section on bringing this into our world of real estate. They're enthusiastic, and that can be catching. That can be, what's the word I'm looking for? Contagious. Thank you. They negotiate conflict easily. They're not afraid of conflict. We're going to talk a lot about that in a minute too. So they can negotiate conflict easily and be peacemakers. Do we ever have to negotiate conflict in our world, in our business? Yes, it's literally what we do. They're great encouragers. They bring a positive sense of humor. I used to think when I first started real estate that I didn't understand any of this. I used to think that I had to be like squelch that part of me where I wanted to laugh and be silly and have fun, and this is serious, this is real estate, we need to be serious. And I completely flipped that to the complete 180, that the more levity and humor and stuff that we can bring into a situation, the better it is. So an example is, I was teaching Ignite in our market center last week, and I said this, and I'm gonna share it with you because I love it. Especially in the market that we're in right now. Anybody getting low offers on your listings? Yeah, have fun. Yay! So we as the broker, we bring the energy of how we're going to handle that. So there's certain behavioral styles that would call their client and say, yeah, we got a ridiculous offer, or it's insulting, it's so low. I don't care what behavioral style your client is that going to affect how they're going to take the next things that happen, right? So we have to be careful how we are presenting things to our clients. We set the stage with how things are going to go, right? So when I get a low offer, I'm going to call my seller and be like, hey, so got a low offer. It's a little low, but hey, at least they came to the sandbox with their shovel and their pail and said, let's play. Is that a completely different mindset that you can help your clients be like, oh, it's insulting, or hey, at least they came to play. We got an offer. All the people who came to the house and showed the house and didn't come to the sandbox, that's insulting. These people at least came to play, right? So we can maybe see if we can make it work or whatever. So you really have to have that positive sense of humor. I don't care what your behavioral style, if you already are an I and have a sense of humor, and don't be afraid to bring that into your world. I would say in a real estate transaction, no matter what, bring who you are into it, because that's why they hired you and that's why they want to work with you. So don't ever, now, that whole high D, quick to anger, no. We gotta mature our way out of that. But as far as the positive things of your behavioral style, definitely bring into it. And high I's are typically have a lot of energy, and very energizing, bring a lot of energy, sometimes to the point of being extra. So be careful with that. Any questions on I? Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm gonna talk about time. Let's talk about time with I's.
It doesn't exist.
Ish. I'll be there at 2-ish. So if your best friend is an I, thank God mine is, you're good. Hey, let's plan on going to happy hour around 4. I'll text you at 3:30 and see how that 4 is looking. That can be a good thing. So again, I'm 100% transparent. I already told you I'm an I. This is my life. Remember we said, what is the high I's natural emotion? Optimism. So they are optimistic about how long things can take. They're also very high energy. We'll talk about that more in a minute. So can you imagine, and if you are this person, do you feel like time, like I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, on my way to this? The bank, get gas, dry cleaners, whatever. Some people dry cleaners. And they're optimistic. This is going to take 5 minutes. This is going to take 8 minutes. There's not going to be any traffic on the way from Parker to Arvada. We're good. Ish. And so you've got to be, if you are this person, you've got to be realistic and build in how long it's really probably going to take for you to do this, 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 and this, right? So, but here is where technology has helped anybody. Am I the only one struggling with this? Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah, ish. Ish is 3-ish. Okay. So you can actually, you can remove a lot of stress from your life and your client's life and the people you love's life if you start to say, hey, I've got an appointment. When I'm done, I'll text you what Google says time I'm going to get there. Anybody do that? Like, that is my life, right? And then you can be like, sometime between 2 and 3, and I'll text you probably at 1:30 and let you know for sure. Would that work for you? 90% of the time, 100% it works for them, right? And I'm always coming from another appointment. Always. So understand that you've got to build that in. So the only reason I walked in here at noon was because I built in a 20-minute extra, but then traffic and Google at 9 said it would take this long, and then when I left, it said, oh, add 15 minutes to that, right? So high I's, who in the room, if you're a high I, the people in your life are mad because you're always late. Yeah. And what, those of you who are always mad at your high I person, because they're always late, what is your mindset around them always being late? What do you tell yourself about them always being late?
You just expect it.
You just, okay, what else?
I'm not important.
I'm not important.
They don't care.
They don't care. They don't respect my time, all the things. High I's that struggle with that, is that the truth?
No.
Could it be further from the truth? Because they care highly about people. They care highly about their relationships, and they don't want to be rejected, even if it's somebody's mad. That is rejection, isn't it? If you're mad at somebody, you're rejecting them in a way. And so, high I's, you've got to build in that 15 minutes of, okay, if I think I can get in and out of the bank in 5 minutes, let's just say it's going to take 10. Because it's good, right? So if you can build that in, because when you are flying into the appointment or flying into the restaurant or flying into wherever you're supposed to be and you're 5 minutes late, are you stressed?
Yeah.
Beyond, right? Beyond stress. How do you feel when you're actually early? Like, what do I do now? Like, I'm crazy. But it brings a lot less stress and it brings a lot more calm into your life. So I talk about time with this behavioral style more than any because it is a high I's biggest challenge is this. And it leads back to that optimism. And so remember that. When you're like, oh, it'll take me, blah, blah, blah. Remember, oh, no, remember she told me about optimistic time. No, let's build something else in there. Okay? Help you with that ish. All right. This is eyes. Can't have enough friends. Can't have too many friends. Everybody is my bestie. I have so many besties. Whereas other behavioral styles are like, bestie means one. Right? So I have besties that are at this level, I have besties that are at this level, and then I've got the besties that I call when I'm sad or whatever. Do you guys see? But they're like, so understand that high I's, they gather people and call them friends like sloths. It's just who they are. Can't have too many friends. Too many social. All right, any questions about I's? What'd you learn about I's and D's so far that you're going to be able to take? We learned nothing, Cindy. Thanks for coming.
Be exactly on time, be exactly on time for D's and don't expect I's to be there.
And again, so grace, right? Understand that they didn't mean to. They're not disrespecting you. They're optimistic.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
I'm just building some extra time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think with either one, even though they're very different, there's ways if they're upset to get them back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if they're very angry, there's a way to, you know, and if they lose that optimism and it can really go to a dark place to bring them back, you know,
Yes.
like in a positive kind of way.
Yeah, I love that. I love your heart. I just saw your heart. I love it. Love it. Anything else?
Yeah, with eyes, knowing that if they're running late, that they still are taking this situation seriously. And not thinking, oh, maybe they aren't as serious as I thought they were. They really are. And so,
They're not being cavalier.
Yeah,
Usually
yeah.
they're probably more stressed than you can imagine.
right.
They're late. So again, if you can give them grace. Now, again, there's grace and then there's taking accountability for who we are and adjusting, right? Because we're in this world with all the other behavioral styles, so we can't just walk around with these kind of are the worst. That this is just who I am and just deal with it. No, that's not okay. I'm just always late. It's my behavioral style now, you all know. It's my behavioral style. Cindy said I'm gonna be late. No, it's not okay. It's understanding that you gotta build it in. It's coming from your place of optimism. And just understand that we are the only ones that don't care if other people are late. Every other behavioral style hates it. Every other one. So, yeah. Not good. Okay. Let's talk about our S's. I spend probably more time on this than any other. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Okay, S's are steady, stable, just want everybody to be happy, not only with them, but just happy in general. They just want everybody to get along and be happy. They're sweet. They love the status quo. Who doesn't like the status quo? Which one? The D's. These guys live in the status quo. They can't say no. Talk more about that in a minute. They're team players. They can be possessive. If I forget to talk about this, please remind me before I move on, because this one is interesting. They're friendly. They're predictable. They love peace. They love harmony. They love routines. They're the ones that get up at this time and go to the gym, and then I do this, and then they eat lunch, and then I do this, and then I do this. They're really, is that a good thing? I could be more routine in my life. Time block, time management, yeah. They're pretty good at it usually. They're relaxed, reflective, very patient, and usually very polite. With very lovely people. All right, now these guys are about 69% of the population. This is the highest behavioral style of our population, of our world. Okay, so odds are good you're either an S, or your client is an S, or somebody you live with is an S. Odds are good. Their key question is, how can I help? Do you think they make good real estate agents? They're all about help. They care deeply about serving. That's another S. I need to add that. They're very much servants. They love helping. And so they make really good agents with some caveats. Again, they're slow paced and loyal. All right, this one is interesting. What's their dominant emotion? There's no emotion. They're the ones that are like this. Who has a friend that you just can't read? You think something is fine, and then 2 months later they come back and they're really mad about something that happened 2 months ago, and you're like, no idea that you were upset. And anyone? Are you that person? They don't have an emotion. You cannot, like, they'll smile, but you don't usually see them angry. You don't usually see them like overly like an eye. They're just steady, stable. Any challenges with that no emotion?
You don't know if we're going through things.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know if you said something that upset them. You don't know if they're worried about something, typically. So it can be really, really dangerous. And their dominant fear is very, very destructive as well if they don't manage it well, because their dominant fear is change and conflict. Holy cow, change and conflict. Talk to me about what a real estate transaction is. Probably one of the biggest changes of their life, depending on the reason that they're in a real estate transaction. And is there conflict in a real estate transaction? Who's my S's? You're half. So when we have I'm going to talk about the combinations, common combinations. So you're an IS, so you're all about the people. So that's a very common combination. So your I, either naturally, depending on how high it is compared to your S, or because you've matured, or because you figured this out, you can step into the I where the conflict isn't as scary. Because I's don't care about conflict. It doesn't upset them unless they get rejected about it. But they're not afraid of it. They're not afraid of the conversation, typically. Again, always typically. Whereas an S will typically do anything to avoid the conflict. Okay, so you do step in that. Yeah. So talk to me about it, especially if you can be vulnerable and transparent. Talk to me about ways that has like not been a great thing for you or an S in your life.
You hide your own emotions. You just push it down.
Compartmentalize.
What's that?
Compartmentalize.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're so good.
resentment.
What happens when you stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff?
Built on you explode.
You explode and get S all over everybody. Thank you for laughing. That's my favorite joke. These are the people who come home and their spouse is packed and out. And they're like, did we have a conversation that you were upset? Happens a lot, you guys. It really does. Because when an S gets to that point where they stuff and stuff and stuff and explode, it's usually over. whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's usually over. There's no coming back from it. And so I think an S's biggest challenge to overcome as humans is called passive aggressive. This stuffing and not having your voice. I call it having your voice, right? It's passive aggressive. It's gonna come out. That stuffing, it's gonna come out. Now, a lot of the people in your world may not be in tune to your passive aggressiveness or may ignore it because they don't have time for it. And that just builds and builds and builds. And it is not healthy. I think passive aggressiveness is one of the most destructive things in relationships, in marriages, bar none. Bar none. And it's this behavioral style. How much percent of the population?
69.
Most of the population is this. And so S's, we have to learn to find our voice. Now, do you guys remember when I told you opposites attract? So S's often end up with D's. Holy cow. Doesn't like conflict, no emotion, living with rage. 5 minutes later, everything is fine. The S 5 months later is still not fine. The D is like, we're fine. You're fine because I didn't see any emotion. And they're moving on and it is not fine. Right? So both sides have to figure this out. S's have to find your voice. You have to get over fearing conflict at the sake of or the risk of the relationship. Because what is what is her name? The conversation is a relationship. Susan Scott wrote this book, The Conversation is a Relationship. And so if you're not having the conversation, good or bad, then there is no relationship. Or the relationship isn't where it could be. Now, the other side of the behavioral styles that are living or in a relationship with an S, they have their part too. And this is where understanding behavior is going to help. Because if high D, anger, is living with an S, stuff, conflict, no emotion, they're never gonna meet, right? They're never gonna have that good. So the S has to find their voice, but the D has to make it safe for that S to have a voice. So that flash to anger over any conversation or whatever, they've got to full on overcome that. That is not healthy. That is not okay, and that is not mature. And so in a marriage or in a relationship, they've got to maybe it's a key word, a code word, or maybe it's everybody step back and come back. So we can't, there's ways of getting around this so that you can come together and overcome that. So D's and I's both struggle with seeing an S because they're just on to the next thing, right? The D's at least, they're flashing to the anger and that just makes it worse. So just remember, if you are an S, be careful of that passive aggressive. And again, don't be afraid to go and get some help and talk about how can I overcome this? How can I be, I don't mean this insulting, but how can I be more of a grown-up? How can I be more mature in this situation where my behavioral style is not destroying? Because that's peace, you guys. If you're stuffing, is there peace in your life?
No.
Oh gosh, the opposite, right? Stuffing and ulcers. Exactly go hand in hand. So just be highly aware of that. Now, when we talk about, actually, I'm going to go there in a second. Let me finish this. All right. So S is again, supportive, sensitive, steady, stable. Oh, there I did. They are servants. They very much have a servant's heart. All right, let's talk about some challenges. We already talked about the passive aggressive quite a bit. They can resist change and conflict. Again, a real estate transaction, change and conflict. Now, if I'm an agent, can negotiation feel like conflict?
Sure.
Yeah.
My S's?
Yeah.
If you know you have to negotiate a price or an inspection or what, is your gut full of anxiety because you have to negotiate this?
Yeah.
And it feels like conflict. It is. D's are like challenge accepted. I's are like, okay, I might get rejected, but let's do this. If they can think of it more as a game. S's hate it. So when I'm coaching an S, okay, back up. Odds are what is your client? Odds are an S.
Especially if there's two.
Yes. So have you ever had a situation where you're talking to your clients and they're like, oh, fine, just let them have it. Okay, fine, we'll take that. And if you're an S as the agent, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
is it really fine?
No.
It's so not fine. Fine, by the way, if you live with an S or a woman, fine, you better buckle it, because it almost is never fine. Am I, ladies, am I right?
Yeah.
We gotta be honest. Okay, so your client is sitting there hating the conflict. You are an S agent sitting there hating the conflict. They say it's fine. You're like, phew. And then 2 weeks later, your clients blow up over a washing machine or a leaking faucet. And you're like, this is not appropriate for the situation. Because what did they do? Stuff, and now they're mad. So how an S has to overcome this, because by the way, those clients sitting there saying, fine, where's your emotion?
There's the.
Fine. Fine. Not fine. So remember we said S's are servants. So S's that hate the conflict of negotiation, and let's be honest, it is conflict. You've got to step into your servant part of your behavioral style, where all that matters to you is your clients get what they want and need. So if your client, again, if you're understanding behavior now, and you're sitting at that table and your client is saying, fine, you got to be like, oh, is it though? Maybe did. Or maybe say, well, you know what, let's try. Let me see if I can go to bat for what is it that you really would like to see. That usually can get them to open up. Well, really, we think we're giving the house away and we would like another $15,000. Okay, well, let me try. Let me see if I can get that. Let me go to battle for you. Because S's and their servant's heart, they'll go to battle. They're loyal. Remember we talked about loyal. They'll go to battle. So you gotta, if you're an S, you gotta step into that part of your behavioral style and fight for your client and get in that mindset instead of, oh my gosh, it's negotiation and it feels like conflict. Does that make sense? Okay, so you can help each other out and just be aware that you're not gonna see the emotion. It's tough. And again, a huge part of our population. Okay. Again, I take a long time to adjust to change. So let's think about our clients that are the high S's. We already said the conflict. They're already not in their best place because the change part, right? So between the conflict and the change, our poor clients are losing their ever-loving minds. And we've seen where they've lost their ever-loving minds, and they say and do things, you're like, you've lost your ever-loving mind. But we've got to bring some grace into thinking, well, they're change and conflict, they're scared to death. So grace. Right? That's how we bring the grace into their life. They want to make everybody happy. They have a difficulty establish priorities. Making everyone happy. Well, sometimes negotiation means we take a risk of making the other side not happy. And if you're an S agent and the other side of the agent is a D, they're going to walk all over you and spit you out if you don't get into that protecting your client mode. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, here's what they bring to the table. They're reliable, dependable, loyal team workers, patient and empathetic. Really, really, really patient. Patience is a great thing in a real estate transaction. They're compliant towards authority, good listeners, and good at getting along. They can just get along with anybody. Really well. All right, let's talk about how are they with time. They want to be early, just a few minutes early, because they're the opposite. They're the ones that are like, I do not want to upset these people. So they'll be at the house early, sitting in their car, listening to music, getting ready to go in, and they'll walk up maybe 5 minutes, 3 minutes early, but they're usually just a smidge early. Now, if they're a smidge early with a high D, they've got to learn that D, you sit in your car until it's like 1:59 and you're at 2:00, it's going to take you a minute to walk up to the door because you're going to knock a D over if you knock on the door at exactly the second that your appointment was. Right? So time is really critical when it comes to our S's, or I mean all behaviors. Everyone has different things. And S's, they have friends, but they typically just have a few close friends that they let in all the way, that they let into their place of loyalty and trust. And then I talked about possessive. Because they only let a few people in and close, they can tend to be possessive, especially in relationships. It's really interesting. It's something that I've just kind of observed over time, that if, especially when I say opposites attract, right? So if an S is with an I, for example, and the I has a million friends and going a million miles an hour and doing all these things, they can tend to be possessive. And again, that's not a healthy possessive. It can tend to be unhealthy. So be careful of that. If you're seeing it or you recognize that in yourself, there is such a thing as a healthy jealousy and a healthy possessiveness for sure. But just be careful to notice, is this a healthy possessiveness? Like I'm going to call it to myself. And especially if that's not who they are. What questions? We talked a lot about these guys. Chances are a lot of you in the room are this. Chances are you live with somebody like this. Chances are your client is. What questions do you have, and or what comments do you have?
And the hardest part is getting them to talk about it.
Absolutely. And again, do they feel safe? A lot of times if they can't talk about it, they don't feel safe.
So like rash decisions from building everything up.
Yeah, like exploding and saying I'm out of this marriage or I'm out of this relationship or I'm out of this team. That's all those places. In their mind, it's not rash, it's been building for sometimes months. And when they're done, like I said. Very, very rarely can you, team leaders, I would imagine, experience this when an agent comes in and says they're leaving. And the team leader is like, I just had a conversation with you last week, I thought we were good. It's because they didn't understand, no emotion, no conflict. They didn't understand that there was actually a lot happening, that maybe they could have touched base sooner, I don't know. Every situation is different.
No, so speaking for me as an S, I'm never gonna tell you if you don't ask. So if you ask, I'll give you certain information, and then if I trust you, you'll get a lot more. But if I don't trust you, you might get a little bit, but it's gonna be very short and quick, and I'm gonna go back to you.
Love it. That's exactly right. Thank you for sharing that. So asking a question, I don't want to speak for you, shows you care and could open up some trust. And then what if follow-up questions? Like you might have to dig, right? To get a little bit deeper, because then they're like, okay, you're listening to me. And it doesn't feel scary, it doesn't feel like conflict, you're just asking me questions.
And the fact that you asked tells me that you noticed something, and that's huge.
It is huge, even though you're like, no emotion, but you
I'm not
know,
gonna tell you, but you didn't, yeah,
or you might have said fine, and they're like.
yeah.
I don't know if you're gonna call me, if it's a joke with me now, I mean, I joke with people, I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
The joke is, it's fine, it should be taken out of the English, other than man, he is fine. That guy, that fine can stay, but the other fine needs to go. We should never ever use that word. Anything else?
I'll say this, because I have some S and I think S might dominate sometimes. But I think as somebody who is emotionally intelligent, I think that falls into that category. Sometimes I think those people don't speak up because they assume that other people are. And you should know that you hurt my feelings. Like you said something you should know that was, hurtful or insensitive.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why a lot of the times I wouldn't say something because I would never say that to somebody, so I don't speak up.
Oh my goodness, I am so glad you said that, because that brings up two things for me. It's the platinum rule again. When you are in a conflict or even a conversation with somebody and you say, I would never do that. Kiss of death, you guys. Kiss of death. Because the platinum rule, it's not about what I would do, it's about what they would do. 9 times out of 10, I'm misinterpreting maybe what they did most of the time. Ask clarifying questions, get more information, like, hey, and again, any relationship, like, hey, that felt a little, and this is where I'm saying make up your words that make sense in your relationship. Like, that felt a little ouch to me. Did you mean that? Most of the time the other person, oh my gosh, no. It was being blunt and direct and fast, right?
Yeah.
With the person that I was at. And then what was the other thing you said? Men and women. So understand the behavior. If you really want to do
There's a spider.
oh, you guys are pretty fun for a spider.
Well, just hide your phone and get an idea.
I just like step down.
Where it, but it's on the, she didn't know where the body went.
Body. And it's moving. So
It has another mind there. That's funny.
Personality matters, but.
That's female. I think I'm. What is your name? Lisa. Lisa, are you a D?
A lifesaver.
I'm actually kind of a hybrid between a D and an F.
Yeah. The D's like,
Great, I'm a doer. I'm just like, get shit done.
yes, that's Now you just threw a lot of D at me with that. Yeah.
But I'm also the GSDA, this stuff for.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about, remind me to come back to that when I talk about the hybrid, as you said. When you dive into behavior, and then I talked about the love languages. And then kind of the thing that goes hand in hand with that is really diving into the differences between men and women and masculine and feminine energy. I could do a whole class on that because it changed my life. I really got into that in the Tony Robbins world. And I was with some people, and Tony is like, he spends like, there's a workshop that's like a 5-day thing. He spends a whole day on masculine and feminine energy. It will change relationships, truly. And I remember I was talking with these friends, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely all about feminine energy. And to a person, they all fell down on the floor laughing. They're like, you think you're feminine energy? I'm like, look at me, I've got hair and makeup and bling. That is not feminine energy. Feminine energy is more about, and I would say that energy comes from your behavioral style. They're tied, right? And you've got to learn how to, again, overcome it. So I had a point, something you said about, you should know what I'm thinking. This is something, again, that I think women are more guilty of than men, because we walk around and we are frankly more empathetic by nature than men are. And your girlfriend would know if you were upset more than likely, but your husband, your man, if it's a man, men are just like cut and dry, black and white. There's the target, there's the arrow. If you're mad, tell me, I'll fix it. They just don't. Men in general think women are liars in the way that our brains work versus the way their brains work. Because we're all over the place and we're not lying. We just like the whole buyers are liars. I hate that phrase. Like when I was coaching and somebody would say that, I'd be like, Buyers change your mind and you didn't ask enough questions. Or you don't come back around and ask more questions. I want a ranch, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And then all of a sudden they're sending you a tri-level, what, and you're like, they said they wanted to be in Central Denver and now they're looking in Broomfield. And you're like, buyers are liars. No, I have to circle back and say, I noticed that you're looking at different things than when we first talked. What's changed? Oh, we decided we like that. Whatever it is. But that's women can tend to be all over the place, and men are like, just the facts, ma'am, literally. Just tell me the facts. So you can bring so much grace and love to your partner and your relationship if you just understand and just say, hey, I feel this way about what you said. Here's why you don't say, you made me feel. That's a nails on the chalkboard for me. I didn't make you feel anything. Don't give anybody that power. Just, this is how what you said made me feel. Right? Like this is going to be like a therapy session. But can you guys see it's all related? It all ties together. And the more you can understand this stuff, the better your relationships are going to be. All right, anything else with the S's? It's always the most fun for me. Okay. Okay, let's go on with our C's. Last one. All right, our C's. They're cautious. They're calculating. They're competent. Cognitive. In other words, they're very in their thinking. They're careful. They can come across as cold. They're perfectionists, sometimes to a fault, most of the time, actually, to a fault. Stubborn, most of the time to a fault. Incredibly accurate. I should write the words incredibly in front of these. Incredibly accurate, incredibly detail-oriented. Are we seeing some opposites compared to other behavioral styles? And again, usually these two are married, right? We're partners in a relationship somehow. All right. Can you provide documentation for your claims? In other words, prove it. That is a C's mantra. Prove it. Highly, highly, highly love information. Really want information. Only about 12% of the population. And they're always looking for something to not be true or okay, prove it. Does that come across as warm and friendly, warm and fuzzy? No, they typically don't come across as warm and fuzzy. They're slow paced. They love details. Spreadsheets. Oh my goodness, they're in heaven. Spreadsheets make me want to poke needles in my eyes. They love structure and they love a schedule. So these are, if you ever want to know what your client is, ask them what they do. I've never known an engineer or an accountant or probably most of the time attorneys. Sometimes they can be other things depending on the kind of attorney they are. They're usually high C's. Like my dad was a petroleum engineer, was raised by a high C, and I look back at my life now, and I remember I told you I kept gravitating to these careers that a high C would do. And it was talking about daddy issues. I got over all my daddy issues when I started to understand behavior. Because I was trying to be what because it's safe, secure, they like that information, and I couldn't be more opposite. So if I would have had somebody like a high school counselor or somebody make me understand this, I could have saved myself so many years of heartache. I mean, I love that I have a college degree, I have a market, I have a business degree, it's 100% appropriate and helpful. But not every kid should go to college. Maybe they should go to an entrepreneur path or a trades path or whatever it is, like I said before. This is how you understand this. Now, most of these guys are probably gonna go to college and get MBAs and PhDs and, you know, law degrees, all of it, all the things. Again, only about 12% of the general population. Their number one emotion is compliance. They are rule followers. Sometimes to a fault. Again, we're going to talk more about it, but let's talk about a D and a C in a relationship. D's are like, what rules? C's are like, rules. C's are the ones, raise your hand if this is you, when you sign up for something and you scroll through 18 pages and then click, yes, I read it and accept. Who does that? Who reads it and accepts it? Well,
I don't
Actually reads it or just accepts it?
actually reads it.
I skimmed through
You.
I'm just like, how many pages? So I guess you accept box. The C's are the ones that read it. Your clients,
do.
your C's are the ones that read the contract. Or at least want you to go through it, paragraph, paraphrase by paraphrase.
Yeah.
They want that. I'm gonna hold that, what a consultation looks like depending on your behavioral style. All right, their biggest fear, and this is again a huge one for them, they are terrified of being wrong. So can you see how this can be, what's the word, why do I lose my words? This,
Suffocating? Is it suffocating?
yeah, along that line, it can be, yeah, it can be suffocating to them, I can't think of the word. To the point where they're like the ready, aim, fire, right? They're like ready, aim, ready, aim, ready. These are the ones that Margaret has to say, if you are in another training class and you don't have a contract, I'm gonna kick you out of the classroom. Because they're always ready, I'm not ready, I'm not aim, I have to know everything about this business. I might make a mistake. That contract is 17 pages long. What if I make a mistake? It's a $700,000 transaction. These are the C's. This is what keeps them up at night. What if I make a mistake? That's what the fear that they live in. And they hate criticism. So what's fun about our C's is they need clear-cut boundaries. Like they need, and do we have boundaries in this business, by the way?
No.
There's no boundary. It's a wild, wild west out there. We have boundaries in that we have contracts, and they're so happy about that. But things can go all over the place. They need the boundaries in their actions, in their business, and in their relationships. They need to have clear boundaries. They're bound by procedures and methods. Again, can be to a fault. They're not good at just going with it and seeing what happens, and that is death to a high C. They get bogged down in the details. I wish I had a stronger way of saying that. They just paralyzed. Analysis paralysis. I think I have that somewhere. Yeah. Analysis paralysis. Like they will overthink things to a fault. These are the ones that will. Here's where C's struggle in a real estate transaction. Let's say a C is an agent and they're in a house with a client, and the client is like, "This is it, write it up." We haven't talked about comps we haven't talked about. Like, what do you mean? Why you haven't had enough time for this decision? You haven't taken enough time to make this huge decision. And a C can talk their clients out of when they make the decision. They can talk them out of it because they did an analyze it the way they would. And so they're scared they're making the wrong decision. Now, on the other side, if your agent is a C, you're going to have a lot of information because that's just who they are naturally, right? Their CMA is going to be on point. They're going to have spreadsheets. Again, we'll talk about what your listing consultations look like. They don't like to verbalize their feelings. Now, they don't hesitate to tell you how they feel. And they can be kind of like D's in that they can be blunt, and they're not usually worried about telling you how it is or how they feel. But they're not going to go out of their way. They'll give in rather than argue. Now, we talked about how they love details and they analyze. Do you think you would ever really want to argue with a C? What do you think?
They're probably pretty important.
Yeah,
They're not fancy.
they're probably right. Everybody needs a C in their life. I do. Because I'm the opposite. I'm up here, the kite, blowing in the wind, and I think of a C as like reeling me in, right? And keeping me instead of like just reeling you in, keeping you in bounds. When a C says, okay, fine, there's that fine again. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. Because they just gave in and you're going down. And when whatever it happens, guess is gonna be like, okay, fine. Yeah, you're in trouble. Go back. They can be incredibly judgmental. Can be, again, emotional intelligence, these things help. And it's the judgmental comes because usually they're right. They follow the rules. They've researched ad nauseum. And so they're like, okay, you go ahead. You go do that. Good luck. And they can be very judgy because they think they're right. And they may or may not be. You're nodding your head a lot. Do you have a C in your life?
My husband's a C/B.
Oh.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
all of this.
And you're probably an IS?
I'm an I.
All I's. So you guys are exactly opposite. Yeah. I'm gonna talk about that, but I have a joke for that one too. It's very funny, Steve. I think anyway. But here's what they bring to the table. Lily Anderson used to always say that every ALC needs a high C. Because the D's and the I's are like all of the ideas and all of the plans and all of the and the C is the one like with the needle poking the balloons. Poke, pop, pop, pop. And everybody's like, but they find the problems, they find the holes, they find the holy crap, this could go bad. Remember that optimism I? The C is pessimistic. They by nature are pessimists. And you got a double whammy with the D's. Yeah. Are they always wrong though? There's a balance. Right? A C needs an I in their life, frankly. Because everybody needs to be the kite in the wind once in a while and have some fun. Let's be honest, it's gonna be fine. A lot of times it is. C's might never take a risk if they didn't have a D or an I in their world. Right? So we need it. We all need everything. So they bring the perspective, their anger of reality, conscientious and even tempered. They don't usually lose their temper too much. Because they'll just be like, okay. And they peace out. They're like, okay, whatever. Criticize and test information. They define situations. They find those holes. They follow the rules and procedures and they're thorough. Again, to the point of analysis paralysis, nothing ever gets done. They'll be the ones, if your client is a C, and you bring, if you, depending on the pages that you print out with your CMA, there are some pages that have all the charts and graphs and everything. Well, if you're an ID, you're going to be like, oh, we'll just skip over that. I don't know what those charts and graphs say, frankly. But your C is gonna be like, I saw a chart, I saw a graph. You better explain it. But and the opposite is true. If you're the C agent and you're bringing the charts and the graphs, and your clients are D's and I's, point, just the facts, ma'am. I mean, that's a 10-minute consultation. How much do people sell it for? When? How much you gonna charge? Done. Show me the proof, done. Whereas a C agent is gonna be like, I didn't show you everything else. And they can talk themselves out of the deal. Can you see that? Where they'll be like, but wait, I have more information I want to share with you yet. They already made the decision. Let them make the decision. Even if it's too fast for you, let them make the decision. You'll have their back later, trust me. Okay, so our C's are the Vince Lombardi on time. You better be there 15 minutes late. Because they're the pessimists. Traffic could be bad, you could get a flat, blah, blah, blah. So they want to be there 15 minutes early. Your client is a D or an I. By the way, I's as a client, they're still vacuuming at 2 minutes before your appointment. My eyes, am I wrong?
No.
Like I'm having a party and people come early. I'm like, if you come early, you're helping. Because the party hasn't started yet. There's candles to be lit, and food to be set, right? So, but the C's, they're early. I have C's in my life, they always come 20 minutes early to a dinner or a party. And now they just know, here's the candle, why don't we get, doesn't we fly it?
Or they're at the airport 3 hours before flight time.
God, yes.
That's crazy.
I am that
have-
aggressive commercial.
Oh,
I'm
I'm right when I need to get.
I am like, thank God it's delayed. And I just got to the gate.
Same. Yeah,
And
exactly.
you talk about conflict. You've got one person that has to be there 3 hours early. Here's my thing. I'll be there 10 minutes before boarding starts. That's perfection to me.
Yeah.
I think being early is a waste of time. That's my behavioral style. Like, I could be doing a million things in this hour and a half that we're sitting here early. Right? Are you like you're in pain right now, huh?
Well, I'm in DI
You're a DI. Okay, so you're not there early.
now.
Yeah. Okay. She's like, I'm glad it's delayed too.
It's the safe and secure part of C that makes you be early.
100%.
Because you're not gonna miss that flight. You'll be there all day reading a book.
Yeah.
But you'll be ready.
Yeah.
be another one.
Yeah, if you have any military clients, I mean, that's a direct thing. Every formation, that's the exact thing that they say. So maybe, yeah, if you have military clients, they
Yeah.
right to the.
Even if the C-ness is bred into them from their military experience, even if that's not their natural behavioral style, especially with time. And that's where they get judgy. Like, if you've got a C client and you're late, it's hard to overcome those things with C's. They're hard to overcome once they've judged you. They're really hard. So yeah, 15 minutes early, 5 minutes early, you're already late. This drives me nuts. I talk about daddy issues. Once I understood that this is ingrained in my dad, that needs to be early, we've traveled around the world millions of times together. Oh my goodness. Makes me crazy. So I just have learned, we're going to church, whatever it is, I get there early because that's showing how much I love and respect my dad. And I don't want him stressing just because of who I am. Does that make sense? So this is where you've got to understand, if you can just be a little great, maybe there's a compromise, like 3 hours. I'll drive myself and meet you at the game. Right? You got to figure that stuff out. But this can really, really, really change your life and change your relationships. Again, our C's typically, their best friend is their partner, their spouse, and kind of that's it. They might have one or two close friends, but not a ton. They're very happy in their own little place. All right, now we're going to talk about energy. and pace. So knowing what you know, can you guess which two behavioral styles are fast paced, fast energy?
Yeah.
Yeah. The DIs, yep. They move fast, they talk fast, they usually talk loud, they make decisions fast. And they're okay with it. And understand, this is going back to those C's. Let them make the decision. Because you'll have their back if it was the wrong one. But don't talk them out of the decision. They're comfortable making decisions probably a lot quicker than you are. My brother is married to my sister-in-law is a very high C, and I've seen them, we got into the fix and flip business. Ooh. I mean, she is great as a partner because she's got the analysis down and the spreadsheets, but you have to make decisions on houses fast. So she has to overcome and trust us to do that. Whereas I'm so grateful for her and her spreadsheets because it's not my thing. So yes, so they're fast paced. S's and C's. Slower pace. So again, I need to try to figure out what my clients are based on what we learned about the population. Do you think the majority of our population are SC combination? Yeah, they go together often, S's and C's. D's and I's go together often. Because it's that fast, SC slow. So if your client is an SC and you come in with this DI energy, they're like this. But are you gonna know it? No, because their face is blank. You just think you're being your natural self. So sometimes you have to bring your energy down to match the person that you are dealing with, interacting with. And the flip side is true as well. If you are an SC and you've got kind of lower energy and stuff, and you're going to an ID environment, you better bring up your energy, right? Because you are going to be out, they're going to be like, oh, we're bored. Like you didn't entertain us, and you didn't, you know. So you've really got to adjust where you're at. Now, when we talk about task versus people oriented, which behavioral styles do you think are people oriented? I's and S's. They're all about the people. D's and C's are all about the task. Now, I'm not saying they don't love people. I'm not saying they don't have friends. But they're not wired. They're wired to get it done. She said, GSD. Get it done. Whereas I'm like, we better be having fun and making friends. Right? So we've got to understand that. And so that's why D's and I's often go together because they balance each other out. You've got a task oriented and you've got I love people too. And fast. So they're get things done. So sometimes if you have to step into your D to maybe get over your fear of rejection, because do D's care? Do they have fear of rejection?
No.
And not straight high D's. If they're a DI, they might. That's why high D's, you know those agents that just pound the phone, they call expires, they call FISBOs, or just like pound the phone, right? Those are typically D's, because they don't care. They don't care about a relationship, they don't care about rejection, they just want the business. They're competitive that way. Does that make sense? You guys know people like that? Yeah, for sure. Now, okay, so SCs, again, you've got the mix of task and social people. So they can balance each other out too. So then we have to talk about, okay, so here's how I always know if somebody is dominant in their S. And I usually will go to how they are at conflict. Like, how do you feel about conflict? Like, if you and your significant other or whatever get in a conflict, how do you manage that? And that's how I usually know if I'm dealing with an S. is that one question. They'll be like, well, I don't love it, but I can talk through it. So that's that emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, where you've learned how to overcome that natural behavioral style and actually, do the things that we need to do as grown-ups to get along with everybody and have a good relationship. So, when you're looking at your clients, how would I recognize? Slide on that. How would I recognize if my client is a D on the phone? How would I recognize them?
They just get to the point, there's no form,
Very
it's like, how
Get
are
to the
you,
point,
whatever.
direct,
I said tongue.
tone, yep. Talk fast. Remember speed. That is a really good indication. Are they talking fast? Are they a little loud? Are they like cutting you off and saying, what time can you be here? How much they want the whole consultation in the call. How much do you charge? What time can you be there? What do you think my house will sell for? Oh, look. Let's get together and talk. Like, you don't get to run over me and my plan, right? But I'm gonna know who they are. And I'm gonna be prepared accordingly. How would I know an I?
They wanna have a conversation and talk about everything.
And
Like
I
what?
invited you, and I invited you for coffee.
Do you like red or white wine for our 4 o'clock appointment? Yeah? What else? Like you go
Like,
for the.
how are you, are like just going on and maybe just giving their whole story.
Yes.
Before we even ask for it.
So we've lived in this neighborhood for 26 years. Our kids graduated. We love our neighbors. We promised them that we would find somebody good and that we wouldn't leave them with horrible people. And then you're like, you know everything by the time you're done. That's an I. And they're talking fast, but they're so warm and they're so friendly and they're probably asking you a lot of questions too. What do you love about your job? And how long have you been doing this? Now, a D might say, how long have you been doing this? Why? Are you good? And I just was like, tell me nothing. Yeah. How do I know if I have an S on the phone? Client.
Slower pace.
Polite. So polite. Sweet. Friendly. But not gushing. Right?
Like not to pry it, but to get.
Yes.
Need out of them.
Why are you, so an S, your consultation should always be question based, right? You'll never hear me call it a listing presentation. It's a listing consultation, it's a buyer consultation, because I'm consulting with you, I'm asking questions. Every behavioral style appreciates that, by the way. D's, those questions just need to be bullets, just facts, all I need is facts. I's, same thing, but you want to bring in, you're gonna be best friends by the time you're done. Truly. S's are, again, they're gonna be friendly, so they're gonna be sweet and nice. They're probably not gonna give you a lot of information, so you've got to go in with your questions and be very aware that they take the most digging, like we said, right? We gotta dig the most with them. Like one question probably needs to go 3 deep. Why are you moving? That's easy. Facts. How does that make you feel? What's important to you? What are you afraid of? That's one of my favorite questions, actually, for anybody. What's your biggest fear about this? I don't care who they are. They're gonna have a fear about a real estate transaction. And a lot of times, whatever that fear is, gonna help you understand what their behavioral style is. And I was gonna say, I hate being my neighbors, and what if we don't have a new neighborhood that's so great, and our kids have to change schools, and I think it's like, I'm afraid of losing money, I'm afraid of it being on the market for too long. S's are just terrified because it's changing constantly all at once, right? And C's are scared kind of a lot for the same reasons. So, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, and a C, how would I know a C client on the phone?
They're really worried about like the bottom line.
Hmm?
Needs all the information.
What does it look like over time versus right now?
They may want all the information before you even go to do it.
They're again, yeah, but they're okay if you say, you know what, I needed this conversation because now I gotta go do my homework. Oh, they're gonna love that. That's one of my favorite phrases with the C. I'm gonna go do my homework, because they appreciate that. And so they're the ones that you're gonna, and I kind of, C's can be good in that way, in that when you bring the market analysis and the graphs and what, the comps and everything, they're usually, they'll see it and they'll be like, okay. And they're usually, if you've done your homework and you bring the information, they're usually the easiest to convince of the price you need. As opposed to a lot of the other ones. I's are optimistic, oh, we can get better than that. D's are like mad because they're taking advantage of them, not giving the house away. S's will do whatever you tell them to, but they're gonna suck. You don't know they're upset because they said fine. So you guys see? So we really, really, really need to understand who our clients are when we come in and adjust accordingly. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna go into, is it really only 1 o'clock?
No, that's
Clock
needs to
to
be reset is too.
Oh, I'm like, there's no way I got through that now. Something's very wrong. It's perfect now then. Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break. Then we're gonna do a breakout exercise. But before we do that, talk to me about what you guys are thinking about all the behavioral styles now, whether relating to somebody in your life, clients, or what have you learned about yourself?
I think it's important to know who you are. Because there's innate outward things that have happened or things in life that can make you certain personalities, maybe during certain times, but who you are before all that is important to know.
Yes.
Who this little, because I wonder if I'll see the little personalities. Time, so it becomes good, and then once you have that, you're solid in that, and then you know the dynamics of that person, how to approach.
Absolutely, it's both. It's that platinum rule. We've got to know ourselves so that we can understand other people. Really good. What else?
It's easier to remember the different styles if you connect it to someone you really know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, oh, you're like my daughter. So,
What is she?
She is a C.
Okay.
Complete.
Yeah. And are either you or even her parents, are you guys C's?
Dad's an S. And I'm.
Okay. So completely different than anybody else in your family.
That's right. We don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. We do now.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good. I love that. What else?
I think when you pick which one you feel you're dominant in out of the 4, but you still have traits of the others, which one is say your second?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you do the assessment, you'll see that. Because like I said, most people have at least 2 above the line. And we literally step in because they can all serve us, right? My C, you guys, there's barely a blip. Barely. It's hilarious. Yet, I think because of the influence of my dad, nothing makes me more crazy than when somebody is unreasonable or illogical. Words matter, very careful about what you say and how you say it. So when you do the assessment, you'll see that you have to pick, and the ones you pick is who you are, and that's going to dominate. But that doesn't mean you don't have influences or you can't step into another one that is going to serve you. Right? So, or you get the leverage. So I learned very early in my career, I started using a transactional coordinator. It is worth every penny for my peace of mind and how many times she has saved my PS high optimism. It'll be fine. She's like, no, get it signed in writing. Saved me. right? So many times. And I know that about myself. My optimism, especially, how I've never gotten in trouble in 26 is beyond me, truly. Because I have transaction.
Well, and opposite for me, being a C and an S, my transaction coordinator helps me to take the stress off of me of looking at all the freaking details.
Exactly. Both sides, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you would just be in that instead of going out and getting more business or loving on your client. Really good point.
That motion.
Huh?
So I said I third that motion, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Anybody else have somebody in their life that now they understand better? Yeah, little Grace, hopefully. How many of you guys that haven't done the assessment have a good idea of what you are? Because we're gonna need that. You guys?
I did the Tony Robbins one.
Okay, good.
Trying to find it, but it just, like, out of the four, I can only see where it says, like, planner.
Okay.
Did you
It
get
didn't give you the right.
Perhaps say more for 20, unless you wanna pay $20.
Because I didn't have the right one.
So, and Stacy showed you that, so I didn't know that, so I think we need to figure out how to help get that for them, I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, well, you should probably, I mean, I feel like most people when you get to a certain age, you kind of, you know yourself. So you probably figured out what your dominants are, and we'll just go with that. And then when you do the assessment, you'll read through, and if, okay, so it said planner, what behavioral style would you guess that is?
Oh, see.
That's a C, for sure, right? So based on, we've given you a lot of adjectives already. Based on that, you can probably figure out what you are. So kind of, we're gonna take, can we just take a 5-minute break?
Absolutely.
Quick potty break. And then we're gonna come back and I'm gonna ask, we're gonna divide into groups of what you think your dominant behavioral style is. And so, like for me, for example, my D and my I are at 99, equal. 100%. So I often say like I'm in D mode, like I call it crowd crabby when I'm in Costco or at church in the parking lot and I just talk about God and now I want to kill somebody in the parking lot. That's my D mode, right? For my I, optimism. So you got to figure out, well, where am I probably normally? Whether it's where I am, because socially I'm definitely more I. Business, I'm more D, right? That makes sense. So you just want to figure out where do you think you are, and if you're not 100% sure, we can chat. But we'll just put you in there, make them even. Cool. Yep. All right, let's come back at 10 after 2.
Yeah, we need to fix that. Well, I meant to do that last week for 2.
Yeah. Turn that little, right? It's warm in here with it.
Yeah, I got one.
It is so warm. I'm like,
I know, it's so warm when it was close.
What time is it, Stace? To what?
You do a 5. Oh, 5, yep.
Is that exact?
That's
It
what,
is exact.
that's what T-Mobile told me.
Exactly. Okay, sir. Do you guys have a water dispenser?
We do, we have bottles, which would you like?
I'll just pour a bottle in my cup.
Either one,
Is it filtered, the dispenser?
Oh, it's even straight, you did that perfectly the first time.
Yes.
Oh,
Good,
you're excited to do an open house in your own hood?
I am. I was gonna ask you about that. Where is it?
It's in the townhomes on Zenobia.
So it's probably the brand of the street.
Oh, I got 6730.
Okay. Yeah, that's like super close, so.
Yeah, I'll let you guys use my open house sign, so.
Okay. I don't know what the. City.
I'll send it all out. I got it.
I don't know.
Hey, are you good? Good. Yeah.
Oh, okay, well. I love it. Do you have a doctor? Well, I don't have. Are you on a break?
Yeah, we are.
What personality am I?
Very tan.
What personality am I?
I feel like you're. Not just confident. And yeah,
Yeah. I'm only like.
I feel like you're so friendly and it's how it was. I haven't really seen it.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It's always been fun and outgoing things, so that's nice.
Yeah.
But I can see the D too.
Okay.
That's why it makes sense when Margaret called you a pit bull.
That's exactly right.
That's not a bad thing at all.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. I'll give you.
Like, turn me on after back to tea, let's go.
It's only 8.
I
Compromise, yes, that's it. You're gonna start at the door.
Next time. So.
How's been doing, Sam? Oh,
Are we going by adapted or no?
Yeah.
Mark you up, man, I have choice.
Are beautiful.
Sam. Yeah. How's good for your
Yeah, this is from last year's. I would love to do it again because I think that.
Oh, let's talk about that. Okay, so I'm hearing some side conversations about. I did the disc and I wanted to do it again, because I think I've changed. So it's. I talked with, when I got certified, I talked with Dr. Abelson about this a lot. That do people's behavioral styles change? And pretty much no, they evolve. And so that emotional maturity, self-growth, those kinds of things. Like I would bet if I had done the disc, maybe in college, I might have shown it adapted as a C. Oh, and I meant to talk about that. Natural versus adaptive. If you're adapted, so remember I said I worked at an accounting department at a hotel. So I would be a C for 8 hours at that job. What do you think my energy was when I left?
Low.
So low. So I call it battery. So when you are forced because of a job or other things, that's why I say in our career, usually it's the same because we get to be in this world who we are, which I think is awesome. But if I was an accountant, my adapted C might be above the line, whereas my natural C was the blip. Does that make sense? And so that is going to drain your battery. So my brother and I are two perfect examples of this. So I didn't mean him to do the disc. He's a little bit, he's special. I think he has a lot of D and then S with a C. So his D doesn't always test like I see behavior. It's weird. Anyway, So he is a corporate trainer too, or was before he retired. But the difference is with our two extremely opposite behavioral styles, I'll leave here today and I'll be buzzing for 2 hours. Back when I used to teach pre-licensing and I taught at night, I'd finish at 9:30. I wouldn't be able to go to sleep until midnight because I'm like I get fed, right? This energy, it just feeds me. And a party, I'm like, I was the one that loved going to New York because the bars closed at 4 a.m., right? That energy kept me going and that fast pace and all that. Whereas he teaches a class and he's wasted, like he needs a nap or he's going right to bed. And so that's the energy and the battery power. If you have to be and you're adapted, so he as a trainer could be an I, like hilarious, gregarious, out there, but it wasted him. He was exhausted because it drains his battery to be in a behavioral style that wasn't natural for him. Same with me when I have to, whenever I'm like prompts or anything that's more of that detail stuff, I'm like, it drains me because that is not natural for me. Yet if I had 5 listing appointments and I'm meeting people, I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. So if you've had, so back to, should I take it again? There's 2 caveats I have to that. If you take it at once, you can fool the system. Like I can take that behavior and come up as an FC just because I know, right, how it is. So you want to be honest with yourself and make sure you just, because sometimes you're like, they both, and which one? Well, how are you at work? How are you at home? Choose that one. Don't overanalyze it, but choose one. And that's where you might be somebody that has 2 that are like really high and even. It's because you could have switched those depending on your mood and it might have flipped them, right? And that's okay. But Dr. Abelson did say that if you've had any kind of trauma in your life, like let's say you had childhood trauma or war, PTSD, stuff like that, that can influence your behavioral style, your assessment, because it might have changed who you actually are by going through that. If you're at a really hard period of your life, like have gone through a divorce or had a very close death in your family, it can skew because you might be dealing with that in a different behavioral style than who you are naturally. And that makes sense, don't you think? Oh my God, COVID is another one that cracks me up. How I could tell people's behavioral style by how they felt about COVID. The D's for 2 years were pissed off. Walking around, because how many rules were there in COVID?
Oh, yeah.
6 feet and a mask and this and that and gloves and right? And so my high D, I was literally mad for 2 years. I thought it was ridiculous. Again, not political. Everybody's behavioral style felt about it the same. And I understand that. But I mean, I was mad. Like, don't make me do these rules. Stupid. I don't believe in this. The eyes were in the fetal position in a corner of their house because they couldn't go see anybody. Their social life was shut down. Any of my eyes, were you like crying during COVID or did you enjoy it?
Oh, no, I enjoyed it, but
You
we
did?
still did stuff together, but just not.
Yeah. My best friend, she's an agent too. We finally were like, I need to see you, and we met at Starbucks and got a drink and did cop style in our car. We'd be like, I miss you so much. So the eyes were like FOMO, like missing their people. How do you think the S's were? Happy as clams. So happy. In home, everybody is safe, everybody has to be here. They were loving life, loving it. How were the C's?
Researching.
A lot of research. Who was buying the toilet paper and the Lysol and
Planner, yeah.
probably that's the C's together. Let's not, honey. You gotta get toilet paper. Yeah, you're right. You got it. Yeah. And the C's were the ones like, you need to have your mask on. You're not 6 feet back. This is your spot, this is the line. Cause they were rule followers, right? So many rules. And they were all about the rules, right? So I was, even though it was math the whole time and sad that I couldn't be anywhere, I was laughing because I was recognizing how everybody's behavioral style, and by the way, enhanced. Like it brought everybody's, like, the D's were really mad and the C's were really following the rules, and so it enhanced it. So it used to make me laugh. All right, so we're gonna break out into groups. Before we do, Margaret said, what do you guys think I am? Those of you who know myself. And why? We're gonna make you tell your lies.
You told us.
She did?
No, yeah.
No, she had not. I thought I yeah. I didn't even try to find what I am.
No, you're fine. You've only met me once.
I think Margaret is an S.
I would change it. Going out and interacting with the following, leading everything else.
The coaching, what'd you say after that?
What's it?
What'd you say after that?
She's more interactive with the people and everything. Let's see.
So you think I?
Yeah, D.
D.
She's about her. Don't even-
But in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah,
She's a good D.
Hi.
She's a good D of the West.
So I'd say I, D, then I always select D.
I would say I do agree I, but a little bit of S.
Okay, so remember above the line, so you guys, everybody agrees I above the line? S, so I heard some Ds.
I'd say D as far as like get to the point.
Yes. Get it done. Get it done.
Mhm.
As a coach, you're probably seeing some D, whether that's who she is naturally or she's a dad. She's a really good coach and it's a lot of training. Somebody's saying S.
Huh?
I guess somebody did say that.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't.
US is driving you crazy. I am, my D and I are both very high above the line, and they are almost a direct tie.
Yeah, so she and I are the exact same behavior.
When it's interesting, when I originally took it in my past career, I was an SC.
That's hilarious.
And so I talked to another highly trained person and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, this is what I took. And then 3 years later, I'm coming up with this DI. How can it be so polar opposite? And it is because of the trauma in my old career that I had to mask who I was so much that it showed up in that. And the minute that environment was no longer part of my world at all, I naturally became who I am.
Yep.
You guys see me as that SC because you see me contractually constantly telling you this is how to fix this is how you do this. And the details, for those of you that have had the pleasure of me reviewing your contracts, are extremely detail oriented. That's totally adaptive.
Yeah. So that's exactly the point, is she can present as a C because of her role. But I would guess that if she had a day where she was mostly doing contracts, or a day versus where she was mostly coaching agents, which one do you think she's gonna lead exhausted? I'm guessing. If you have to do a lot of
The
contracts.
night that I did contract review for 6 hours, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
She's very good at contracts, but that is not her natural, yes.
So that's
That's why I have an admin, that's why I got a TC.
Yeah.
That's why, because that's not, paperwork and details is not who I am. I'm very much a cut to the chase. Tell me your story quick, I don't care what color dress you wore in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yep. So I'm guessing if you've been in a true coaching conversation with her, you're probably seeing her be more than anything. Be bopping around the market center making friends, that's when her eye is out and happy. So it depends on what you're doing. And it's the same with coaches, you know, a lot of what I've learned before I got certified was because of like coaches skills camp and stuff like that. We need care versus candor, and we need that with our clients too. We need to come to our clients with love and understanding and empathy, And we need to have the courage to also tell them the truth when they need to hear it, because that's our job. And if that sounds like conflict or if that's scary, S's can go back to, but it's my job and it's how I help them. And it's how I protect them. That's how an S can rational or not rationalize, that's the wrong word, can help overcome their hatred of conflict, their avoidance of conflict, is because they have to do this to help. And they can wrap their mind around that. That can help them. I remember, which is interesting because it's not usually my behavioral style. Way early in my career, I had a townhome that we listed and it was filthy. It was just filthy. And I don't know, I can't remember why I didn't just get a house cleaner to come in and clean. I don't know. They said they were gonna clean it, I think was it. And then I did an open house and like the toilet was filthy. It was disgusting. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna have to talk to them about this. And then it was like, oh, I'll just give them the feedback from the open house. Oh, you know, everybody's saying your house was dirty. What do you think they said to me?
Thanks for telling me before they came.
Why didn't you tell us that? And I learned that lesson so fast. Like it or not, I'm gonna tell you the truth. And you can preface that in the beginning, right? My job is to help you and protect you, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's easier. And the truth needs to be delivered nicely. Like D's have no problem telling you the truth, neither do C's actually. But you gotta buffer that. I have a hard time telling the truth sometimes too, because they don't want to be rejected and they don't want to sound mean. So when an I has a D with them, they're like, okay, this conversation, I need my D. And even if you don't have any D above the line, can you still step into it? Because now you understand what it means. You can literally, in your mind, say, okay, I need to bring some D into my life right now. And I'm a little scared, but I need it because it's what my client needs to hear. Does that make sense?
Stacy does that really well.
Yeah?
She pulls D out of her hat.
So we were talking my joke, I was laughing. What is your name in the back? Here. So I was giggling because I told you I disk anybody that I might, maybe not the first date, but if I'm gonna have second or third date, I'm gonna, hey, I love this, and we should be willing to, I mean, it's just something to talk about, right? But what I figured out, for me personally, I need a DIC. Nobody's laughing. It's funny. But it's what I need in my life. Okay, we'll end on that note. Okay, so what we're gonna do, huh?
He keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The C, I need some C in my world, for sure. I brought C's into my world. I would really love one that would just handle the taxes and the here's I'll say this only that because stories. I was in the Citizens Police Academy for Parker last fall, and I was with I did a ride along, and we were by my car, and the cop was like, Cindy, your plates are expired. And I go, shoot, it's February. It's not too. February of 24. I need a C in my life that got that postcard or looked at the back of the car or something and got are you kidding me? Crazy. So yeah, we all need a little bit of it all in our life. If we aren't if we're not married to it, get a TC or whatever it is. Okay, so the breakout, what we're gonna do.
Wait, so how's Ryan on doing?
Oh, so fun. I'm like, are you gonna get Oh, you know what's funny about that, actually? It was, I said to him, wow, it's kind of quiet tonight. I thought he was gonna wreck the car. I learned you never say that to a cop.
Yeah.
That it's quiet, cause they're legit superstitious about that.
Yeah.
Like, and I said, well, maybe we'll have some action if I said that. Oh, guys. Not positive. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's the fancy. All right. Who who of you think you are, that you would relate for the exercise as a D? I have a couple.
Are you just doing one?
Yeah, just pick one.
Oh.
Yeah, probably that's good. Okay, so you guys are gonna come up and be in this corner. And go ahead and pick a marker. All right, who are my eyes? Oh, good. Who are my eyes? For sure. Do you wanna go I or S? Okay, yeah.
That is a nine.
Well, where are you gonna be?
I don't know, I'm kind of in between an I and an S. But I don't know, maybe.
You know, I heard D all day from you today.
That's that.
No.
Depends on the stand.
Okay, like on the job with clients, yeah. What do you see yourself more?
I'm probably, I just get shit done.
Okay, you're gonna go to D's. Okay, here's my I's. All right, and who are my S's? Okay. Huh? You're an I.
I'm S-I-C, say. I'll go where you need.
Okay, but yeah, let me back up. Who really can relate to the C?
Back to see.
Place to see.
Where you're with the I's right now?
She's an I.
See, that's a unicorn. I C's in my mind. Because I's are up here the kite, C's are. So, and I'm not saying it's not valid because I've learned it's, and DS's is another one. When I see DS's, I ask them, I'm like, are you schizophrenic in your own head? Polar opposites, right? Polar opposites. One is all about conflict and blood, and the other one is not. And so what I've learned is at home, the S is like they're the husband and the dad or whatever at home. So that's where their S is. But on the job, they GSD. Yeah, and they're all about that. So I want it a little even. So maybe, do you think you're more I? Everybody else says she's an I, right?
I think small to see if we need more for C.
Okay, then yeah, let's do that because the two of you are C's and then you guys can be S's, right? Okay, I'm sure. So everybody have a paper and grab a pen, marker, and then I will I will give you your instructions.
Yeah.
We're doing that over here or just right here?
Here we are.
You're in the folder.
Nice to meet you. Everybody, just, I have. I knew what time it is. We're supposed to be 69%. Look at us. No, it's like.
Well, it's healthy of it.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, it's like I've done this in the past where I've done it in a real estate office, but people brought in family and friends and it is more, and have you ever, who's done bold? Like, back in the day, they used to talk about behavior a lot more, and I would hear people say, I wish I was more D. Well, D can also stand for, there to be, every behavioral style brings a good thing to the table and a challenge to the table. So that's what I hope you get out of this is embrace what you are, who you are, and then figure out the ways to adjust the challenges that maybe you feel like you could, right, like being on time or not being down. Those. All right, so what we're gonna do is across the top, like draw a line across the top, and you're gonna write who you are. So.
So it goes with these.
That's for me resistant, but.
I just want to double check because I don't want.
Oh, do you want to run that much paper then? I'm like, okay, so draw a line. Yes. Right, okay, guys, listen up. So draw a line and write who you are. First.
Nobody, I'm not even waiting for instructions.
That's because we're.
This is where I go. Fly. Yeah.
I heard that's right.
I know that one looks dead.
All right, so I'll do that again.
Okay, ready?
Let's
All right.
try black.
So write who you are. So these are the I's, the C's, the S's, the D's. Then draw 2 more lines, so make 3 columns. And write the other ones that you're not. So if you're an I, write D, S, C. If you're a C, write D, I, S, etc.
So shares these.
Yes.
I.
Perfect. All right, everybody got it? Okay.
Okay.
That's my favorite way. All right, so now what we're gonna do is you're gonna write like maybe down here or up in here, depending on how much room you left. Write the things that you love about your behavioral style, that you think is good things that you bring to the tables.
Understand.
Well, right, all the good things are in your plan. Like, what are the good things about you? This.
Fun.
Driven, okay? No, it's. I don't. Oh, all right, I'm with that. I don't feel the same thing to me, these. You are. Yeah.
Can you use that in the sentence?
Right, okay, right. And then I just have. And I need. Just, okay, efficient, there we go. Thank you.
However many you want.
Let's see.
Oh God, I gotta remember that.
In
Hilarious.
long time. Crazy. Changed my life. Because I used to be like, you don't think leaves, you are not there, you're saying leaves, so I am on time. What is that about?
Okay, not that you have to be done with this part, but let me give you the rest of the instruction.
Does that help? Yeah, I don't know.
So then what you're gonna do when you're done with this, and by all means, keep going on that part. You're gonna say, underneath each of the columns, you're gonna say, what drives us crazy about D's, C's, S's? Okay, so you're gonna just finish what you love about yourself, and then what drives you crazy about the other ones.
Our, would not have like. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. We know what it means.
Great, you're talking
Okay,
about
yeah.
you did my oversight.
Is that exciting? Yes. No. Thought it was bad things. No, this is the good, something of the good thing that somebody's like, oh, I think that was. Yes.
No, but everything on that line is about what you love about you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Everybody else will help you with the other side.
Not really. Not right here. Yep. What do we not like about these area?
This one I'll start because I.
Everyone sees like. Take too long to tell the story. Well, the eyes of storyteller, which funny because I'm not. Oh, yeah, like if you're like flashy and you go get probably listening. That's what I don't like. But you were right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But failure.
Yeah.
No, putting their.
I guess I can really look at the decisive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could be because I
Yeah.
don't think
So.
first necessarily.
And I would say it's probably similar to that piece you like, you make it line.
Yeah, so they are like,
Yeah.
you know, guys, both be early though.
Although they do their own, we went big on these.
I mean, that's no thing, really. It's nothing. Nothing. It's a big,
Is there another movie?
Right.
Yeah. That's later.
Can't control it all.
Yeah, I think it,
Yeah, but I hate your job. I
they
just
say
say
it's the right way to say it.
And that's give us, you know, that's just, I just went on their,
Oh,
yeah, tunnel vision, yeah.
I don't
Oh, that was that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, there's, I would feel that would,
That hand.
Not doing that. Like changes.
That can be hard.
Yeah, so-
Yeah, definitely.
Really good to emergency radio because, you know, I might do people something really sort of. But that's not just,
That can actually be going and stuff like you're always like, yeah,
Yeah.
Because they're always.
No, we're gonna do rewriting.
it's almost like a.
Yeah, they can't make a decision.
Going through like.
Paralysis. Paralysis. Like, how you feel? They're working 8 hours to read.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
I was like, so like.
And that could be, even for like relationships, see, like you're.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's like,
Yeah.
and then not send to.
The eyes of it, and he doesn't understand why I'm so upset later, something here. My God, they won't talk, it's okay.
That's really.
My mom was.
And yet.
Oh, it is, that's right now. Check this, I feel like, yes, I'll check, I read it last time. Like with the.
Where's the whiteout?
Yeah, exactly, I'm talking about being recorded.
Essence seemed like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take about 3 or 4 minutes, wrap it up.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Because see you and like figure out there's the greatest.
Yeah.
Just fun. Stupid.
After COVID, it's like.
Well, they are.
Again, so. I know, it's like,
Yeah, we go, let's bring
They're
it
very
up. They're suffering.
literally, yeah, and they're not.
I don't think I know.
Yes.
You know, and
then
then how
Oh, yeah.
like.
Oh, I do remember last time, I put a smiley face up on this one, and you're like, your eyes just did that. That was your eye. I think I played on C last time, we didn't have no C.
I remember what I did. Because it,
I don't know what I think that actually, yeah.
We don't.
I know.
Yeah, so you have it, in your house.
I did the, or you have to pay for it.
It's like the hard for the Zoomers.
With the, how many rooms that I did?
Handful, I'll take, there was any.
You're there.
We may have given up on it.
And then I just.
It's always.
Parts of each.
I
know a little bit.
Yeah, being in my agreement is whatever. They call out my work, and it's actually no one's me, but that is, and.
We're gonna talk about that.
They take this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like it, though.
Halfway. I know, it's that
So many things.
These guys.
It's just us. They gave us one of them. I get it.
It said all these 70% unique. So I. You're right.
Alright, guys, let's wrap it up.
We're good at saying other things.
If you're done, let's have a seat. If you're not, go ahead and finish. It's
I
okay.
am not unreasonable. What are you guys?
We were like, what are we getting from Marcus?
Everybody but Mark.
Yeah, I hear you.
Alright, so just looking around the room at everybody's chart, any observations?
Oh, yeah, I was watching them use their notes.
Me too.
Oh.
You said you have some C too, right?
Yes.
So the only Cs were the only ones with their notes filling their sheet out. And that's okay. The Cs both have theirs and you.
Margaret did too, though. I grabbed mine, just to make sure I had it on a category.
Yeah. So that is very, yeah, what else?
These guys started before everybody else.
They did not wait for instructions. And what else? Happens, I've done this, I don't even know how many times, happens every time. What else? We're done. We're done. Why are you done? Because that's a contest. Everything is a contest, right? And they're fast. We don't need conversation and we're done. And they were done probably a good 5 to 8 minutes for everybody else. And that happens every time. Every time. What else? Anything else?
I is very legible.
This is actually unusual.
Okay.
Highly unusual. But you don't think you have any C in you, do you? No. So that I think that's just who she is. Because usually that is more what the C chart looks like. This is usually all over and there's exclamation and maybe some hearts and some smiley faces. That's typically what I see. So that was a little unusual. Anything else? All right, let's start with our D. So if somebody wants to like come up and be the spokesperson and talk about your conversations, who wants to go?
Carla's done.
Sweet.
Call our own car.
And this is usually what a D looks like. Arrows, couldn't bother to write it again, crossing out, all over the place. Yeah, because they're in a hurry, right? And so, yeah, we can't rewrite. We're just gonna, yeah, hilarious. All right, what do you love about yourself first?
We're driven, we're good leaders, we're efficient, we're on time, decisive. We rock on, and we see the big fish.
Yeah, one thing I will say, I meant to say it in the on time. They're mad when other people are late,
But it's okay.
but it's okay if they are. They often are.
Yes.
So like if you have a team leader or somebody that is a high D, they're often late, but too bad. I had a reason. And just deal with it. But don't you be late. Cause now you're wasting their time, you see? So, yeah, that's where sometimes they get called Ds. Other word for D. Yeah. Yeah, okay, what annoys you guys, your Ds about the Is? And sometimes you're talking about yourself, because Ds and Is again often go together.
And always late. Their stories are too long, they're way too happy, not serious enough,
Yeah.
won't talk through issues.
Okay, tell me more about won't talk through issues.
They lack, they're afraid to. They don't-
No, those are S's.
Well, I thought that they don't wanna be, rejected.
They don't want to be rejected, so that makes them like regen and things like that can be hard. Because I can make friends all day long, but the second I ask for something, I might be rejected. they don't usually have a problem talking through issues. The Ds and the Is both usually can talk through issues, and Cs really too. They don't have a problem unless there's a fear of rejection. So that's why I wanted more, because that's not wrong. It's just, it really depends on the situation. Like usually, relationally, in their good, really close relationships, they don't usually have a hard time talking through things because they value the relationship. But if there's, maybe it's a client or somebody that could maybe reject them, I could see where that could be a problem. So that could be a little bit of a line. What do you guys think? You look like you have a thought. No? Okay. What annoys you about our S's?
Fear of communication, no good in an emergency. Fear of change, they might be boring. Passive aggressive, and they hold grudges.
Ooh, and I didn't even talk about that. And I usually do. Grudges. That kind of goes with passive aggressive and not talking through things. Oof, they can hold grudges for a really long time. Yeah, which again isn't healthy, I don't think. It just gives you anxiety. I was gonna say something else, sorry. Oh, I know what I was gonna say about the eyes. Back to the eyes. I remember one time, somebody put the word superficial under the eyes. And that was interesting to me. And I asked them to dig a little deeper because that, like being an eye, that was like a opposite of superficial. So I asked them, like, where did the superficial come from? And you kind of, what made me think of it is you said not serious enough. It's kind of along that same path. Because they're just so like outgoing and woohoo and the stories and stuff, they can present as not being serious. And I've had in the past, I've had like guys actually say to me, you're actually smart. And that I didn't understand at the time, but that was because my behavior sounds woohoo, let's just have fun and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, and you're smart too. I'm well, you can probably help. But yeah, so the superficial typically is the furthest from the truth, but they can present that way because they have all the friends and they just want to have fun and blah, blah, blah. Cindy Lauper, right? Yeah, good. Hold grudges. That was a really good point. What about our C's?
Can't make decisions. They arrive too early and they want you to prove everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I would add, I think a challenge for C's is that pessimistic approach that they have. If you are a C, be careful of that you're not the one with the needle popping everybody's balloon. However, remember that is actually a good thing about your behavioral style is you're seeing problems that maybe others don't. So there's a balance there, right? So if a C, you're the one that is living with a DC. So his D kind of can he make decisions fast or does he overanalyze?
Normally he overanalyzes, but he can, at work, it's quick, at home, it's.
Okay, makes sense, yeah. So he goes wherever the situation is, yeah. I'm guessing he's more careful at home because it's protection and matters, yeah. That makes sense. Awesome. Any other remarks? Good job. Thank you. Let's get our eyes up here and give me an eye. Give me an eye. Her handwriting is really nice. Yeah, you can tell.
So for the eyes, we're easy to talk to, friendly, outgoing. We're all people persons, nice. We're peacemakers, empathetic, easygoing. We like to have a good time and generally congenial.
Yes, congenial is a good word.
Yes. The D's are normally controlling, blunt, insensitive, hot-headed, unreasonably short-tempered, and arrogant.
Notice how fashion's like fit.
The C's we have as judgmental. They also hold grudges, not open-minded. They're know-it-alls, overly analytical, overthinkers, and can have tunnel vision.
Oh, those are good. So you guys both came up with grudges, and I didn't even talk about that. So that is actually you're really thinking that, because again, that's part of passive aggressiveness. The know-it-all. Be careful, I mean, chances are you do, if you're a C, odds are you do.
They do, but there's still no.
If they're gonna give an opinion, so they'll usually be like, I don't know, and that's funny. But if they give an opinion, chances are that is more valid than anybody else at the table. If they actually have an opinion about something, they're probably gonna be right, yeah.
And then for the S's, we have hold grudges again.
I'm so sorry, can I interrupt real quick? Sure. Tell me more what you guys were thinking with the tunnel vision, I don't think I've seen that one before, it's interesting.
With them, when they're analytical and say you have somebody else trying to come in and offer an opinion, they are so focused on their know-it-all behavior that it's hard for them to take in other people's.
That is very insightful, that was good, you guys, okay.
And then the S's are hold grudges, no emotions, they're not very open to opening up. They can be a bit too sensitive, they're eager to please, which is their own detriment. And they can also be pushovers because of their people pleasing.
Yeah, so eager to please and pushovers, if that's like their inability to say no, cause they just wanna make everybody happy. And then you're mad, and then do you see the cycle? Like, and that's where, I mean, if I could say anything, it's like find your own voice in all of these areas. If you're in essence struggling with that, you will bring peace and get rid of anxiety in your life if you could do that one thing. Say no, find your voice, have your emotions. Okay, that was good. Good job. Thank you. Well, I have to, let's get our C's up here. C. You're close. Oh, you're both close. So the thing I immediately Googled with my C group, they said, remember they have their notebooks. Well, first of all, C's take notes. We can start with that, and then they had to have their notes when they did the exercise. And then I was dying laughing. You said, how many do we need in each? That's so classic C.
Yeah, when you said on a line, I turned around like, okay, I need to know where the line goes.
Yes.
where to that- Yeah.
Yes, and again, I'm not just busting on you, because it happens every time, and it thrills me, it makes me giggle so much. Okay, tell us what you don't like about what you love about yourself.
We love details, understanding, knowledgeable, research, punctual and organized. And then for the D's, what we don't like, can overtake the conversation. Quick to anger, demanding, problem listening and lacking detail.
Okay.
For I's can be draining. They're so exciting, so excited, you know. Too overly optimistic, time draining and time-ish.
The ish.
Yeah.
Time draining, talk to me, I think I know what you mean, talk to me a little bit more about that. What do you
Because they're
mean by that?
excited about stuff and will tell you all the details and yeah, so time drain the time.
So do you guys see, remember, who are the two task-oriented behavior styles? What are they?
CNS.
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 Yes.
Yeah, the personal people-oriented are INSs. So even though they're not, that hits the point D, I still can exhaust them because of that high energy and they are lower energy. And remember when I said, if your client is a C, they exactly said that they can come in and you can exhaust them with your D and your I. With your energy, you can exhaust them. So if you are that high energy person, again, what are the odds of who your client is?
Oh.
SC low energy, right? So if I can give the D's and the I's, the biggest advice is read the room. Because usually, well, the I's especially are good. D's, learn to read the room. And if they're like, bring your energy down. You can tell by how they greet you at the door. You can tell by how they walk you to the table. You can tell if your energy needs to be brought down. And then the flip. It happens less Cause there's more D and Is on the agent side and more SC on the client side. But if it's the other way around, you're reading that your clients are Ds and Is and you're an SC, you better bring your energy up or you'll lose them that way too. Yeah, and you'll need a nap when you're done. Cause what, you need a nap when you're done with the Is. Yeah, okay, good. And the S's.
S's, no emotion, hard to read, passive aggressive, too polite and can't say no.
And the politeness, I think, is a indication. I feel like when S's are polite anyway, because that's just who they are. But if you feel like they're getting too polite, they're in that no emotion place, and that's their default. So that was actually really insightful that if they're too polite, that might be where you know you're in trouble.
Mhm.
And you need to maybe dig and. Who said ask questions? Who said ask me questions? Oh, she's not. When she said ask me questions, if you wanna know how I'm feeling, ask me questions.
Mhm.
You will, any behavioral style, you are okay asking questions. So if I can give you anything, it's ask questions. Think of it as a consultation. If I'm talking more than they are, it's a presentation and it's not what you wanna do. It's not where you wanna be. Great job, you guys. Good job. Thank you for that's my favorite part of this whole thing. Okay, now we already talked about, yeah, sorry. Did I miss the S's? No. Oh!
The S and S says it's okay.
Actually, I did that on person to see, yeah, that is hilarious, because you're like,
And my D just came out.
What was fun is I'm watching these people and there's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, this is funny.
hilarious, because I did when I was like, so, TIS, I don't know why I went to the Seekers. But she's like, in the cemetery. I wish I would have said I did that. Oh, it was classic. Okay, I'm so sorry. Tell us what you love about yourself.
Sure. I think we're reliable, service oriented, patients, good listeners, and helpful. And what we think of, these, they don't listen. They're impatient and they can be angry.
You guys, can you look at her right now, her demeanor? She's like, worrying, sorry, do you see it? It is physically hard for her to say mean things about the other ones.
We said they're not realistic.
Interesting.
Never on time. And they can be overwhelming at times. And then for C, they're bogged down in details. Perfectionists. And they don't admit when they're wrong.
Because they are. But that's true. So, okay.
I'm late finish. I got a 3:00 call. Oh, okay.
She's gonna be on time. So that was just hilarious how that all happened. And again, she's still like, that was really hard. That thing, it was, wasn't it? Notice their list is short. Look at wrong notes. They probably would have filled the page if I would have given them more time. Yours is the shortest because it's hard for an S to say bad things about people. And this felt bad, right? It felt like you were saying negative things. You were struggling with it, just to say it out loud. So that is the epitome of our S's. It's really hard. They're so nice. So nice. They're like the bread and butter of our society. But there's challenges on both sides. And I hope you guys got some insight on that and can help you. So we already talked about how to recognize it on the phone, how to recognize it in person. It's even easier. What are a couple of things how you can recognize somebody in person, what their behavioral style is? body language.
They look at you, probably body language too, but they're like, you know, for cross.
Yep.
Tone of voice.
Very tone of voice.
Tone of voice and volume.
Yeah.
So remember that energy, you're fine. Remember that energy, that pace. Are they fast? Are they getting the table? Are they kind of slower? You know, just more relaxed, I guess. And rather than saying slower, I should maybe say more relaxed. Not usually a lot of relaxed in D's and I's in these situations. They're usually like buzzing.
Yeah.
So recognize their pace and recognize their emotion. Good. So this is a quote I got from Tony Robbins, and he talks about all of my frustration, or he says suffering in my life, is my judgment of someone else. And I would add the word expectation. Whenever somebody disappoints us, or we've got that anxiety gut, it's usually because we have an expectation of how somebody could or should be behaving. And remember I said in the beginning that if you hear yourself say, well, if it were me, I would, ... you're in trouble. You're here. You're in suffering and judgment. And we all do it. Every behavioral style does it. I'm not, C's are more judgmental because they're right. But we all as humans, we all go into expectation, judgment, behavior mode. And if we learn to have the conversation in the moment, most of the time when somebody hurts your feelings, they have no idea. Is that a fair thing to say? And if they did, they would be sorry. And they would try to fix it. So that's where the grace of understanding this comes in, is step out of the hurt and step into the curiosity of, well, why did you say that? And do you know how I heard that and how that affected me? Okay. Yeah, it'll change your life. All right, give me a couple more. You did good. Couple more ahas for me to love on the ride home. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna have a conversation with my husband and say, you're in an abusive relationship.
With you?
With me. But he'll say, with who? No, with me, and that's
You're making me emotional by saying that.
really.
Yeah. I love that. That's very insightful.
Because if you think you're more dominant, that's kind of a big thing to, you know, take on.
Way more.
Well, and you might want to look into the whole masculine feminine energy thing, because usually DIs, it's a masculine, automatically it's a masculine energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got to be aware. I love that was your first name. What else?
I thought it was a lot softer than I probably really am.
Yeah, and that's behavior and feminine or masculine. Both.
From the years.
I am so glad you said that, because I'm telling you, there are parts of the country who are certain behavioral styles.
Yeah.
They just.
The Northeast,
They're not being,
No.
they're just, they have an agenda and they are in a hurry to get.
the entire pocket, like, I lived in Philly for a few years, and for the first year, I was like this the whole time with people, until I understood they're not mean, they're just blunt
Yeah.
and fast and rude.
They don't have time for the bullshit. They're really not even rude. They're just,
It feels rude.
they come, they eat, they leave, it's like a bug's life.
They will get in cliques and ostracize you.
Yes. Okay, so let's continue that thought. Where are the eyes? The eyes in the population. Where do they live?
Oh, we live in the South.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Who else lives in the South?
And
Bless your heart is not nice. I lived in the South for a few years.
passive aggressive.
It is passive aggressive. They're very, the South is very very behind the facade of polite society. And you can take this internationally too. Like when I hear Brazil, I'm like, their eyes. Literally, if you go to a conference, they literally pack the Tamarines. They are the party. As a culture, as a society, they are the party. What do you think the Germans are? How would you? Obviously, we're very C's. Yeah, the German engineering, German cars, they're not very friendly as again, I'm very much generalizing. Thank you. Where have you been for the last 3 hours when I lose my words? Yes. Who? What do you think Great Britain is? The English. They're S's. Stiff upper lip. Don't show your emotions. That's what they love and hate about Americans. Is we're so big and loud and they love it and they're fascinated by it and they hate it. They're all F's. And Americans, I would say if you're gonna put it in that conversation would be I's. Like we're the loud, gregarious society. So when you look at parts of the country and you look at parts of the world and cultures, it's funny how there are, I'm sure there's Germans that are I's. I'm sure they exist. But as a culture, it's kind of funny to me that, and you don't, in Britain, you don't walk around talking about your issues and your problems. They think we're crazy that we just wear our hearts on our sleeves. That's what they think. So it makes me giggle. The more you travel now, you've got a little bit of this under your skin. Hopefully you find the humor in it. And in your own life, you'll be like, oh, look at me going all S. For me, it's like, I really have to temper being extra because I am a D. So I like to tell the story, but I'll give you the bullets, right? So like you got to bring in a little bit of both. Okay, give me a couple more ahas, we'll call it a day.
I'll say, yeah, for me, it's important to recognize your own style so that if there's something about the other style that you want to achieve, like for me, I have very, very low D, but I really respect people that are go-getters and ambitious. And so knowing that I have low D, then I can step into those styles and try to achieve something that I admire.
I love that because you did identify as an I. And so the D, it's the energy of the D, which you have, because if you're an I, you probably have high energy when you want it in certain places that you're excited about. So yeah, stepping into that energy and then being like, you know what, I'm just gonna get rid of the spirit of rejection. I'm gonna call people, what do I care? You literally have to talk to yourself, right? But we all have it in us, so you can do it. And that's why it's full circle why they talk about if your why is big enough. Like that's what you've got to know why you're trying to do the thing that you're doing, whether it's business or whatever. And that's a whole other class of conversation that I can often identify people's behavioral styles by their big why. You know, do they want the car and the house and the accolades? That's a D. Do they love you know, meeting all these people and that's the I, and then the S's are like, I love helping people. And the C's love the challenge of the contracts and all of that. So it really, it comes into every aspect of your life, for sure. Okay, one more. Did I say one more? One more.
I think it also helps you go a step further. Like I think most of us know like body mirroring, like the little general things that you can do to help communicate or make somebody trust you.
Very much.
Now, like there's just more stuff to add on to make the connection better.
Have you ever met somebody and you just felt a connection and you don't know why? Most of the time, it's because they are like this, listening and asking questions. No matter what their behavioral style is, we can all learn that. And so the more you lean in and ask questions about other people, that's where that instant connection is going to come in. And that's how you get the business. So I'm really glad that's so true.
It's definitely a career, and I think business in general, but real estate specifically is about people. And the psychology of people.
Oh, yes.
And you add money to that.
Yeah.
Money psychology. So I think
Yeah.
it's really good.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. You are awesome. Thank you for letting me share my session with you. And when you do the assessment, like I said, I hope you wrote it down. Reach out if you have any questions or want any. Oh, and you kind of touched on it. have your kids, if they're like, I would say teenagers and above, and your significant other, have them take it. And read through each other's profiles and have the conversation, especially if you feel like there's places. Like we're in a mixed relationship, let's talk about this. That could be actually really fun and how honoring to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a chance to.
Thank you.
Find me speak.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
What's that? Thanks for people.
Water bottle.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I'd be very sad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
By the way, what you just did.
This one, I was says,
You too, y'all have a good night.
Think we you as well, oh, we get it, we got it, that's that.
It's warm in here.